Murder by Experts. The Mutual Broadcasting System presents Murder by Experts, with your host and narrator, Mr. John Dixon Carr, world-famous mystery novelist and author of the recently published bestseller, The Life of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
This is John Dixon Carr. Each week at this time, Murder by Experts brings you a story of crime and mystery which has been chosen for your approval by one of the world's leading detective writers. Those experts who are themselves masters of the art of murder and can hold tensity at its highest. This time, our guest expert is the noted mystery writer, Mr. Bruno Fisher, who has selected a fast-moving, realistic study of a killer at large, written by Joseph Ruskell and Paul Monash. And now we present Kenneth Lynch in Prescription for Murder. On a Midwestern highway, a car bearing two men moves at a good speed through a dark and stormy night. The driver of the car has just turned on the car radio.
Now for the local and state news. A giant manhunt is on tonight for escaped convict Curly Elkins, who shot his way out of the state prison at Harmon a few hours ago, killing two guards in the getaway. Roads in the vicinity of Harmon have been blocked, and search parties are combing the woods for the escaped desperado. All citizens are asked to be on the alert for Elkins, who is armed and dangerous. Elkins is 6 feet 2, blue eyes, brown curly hair, pale complexion, with a horizontal scar on the left cheek. He was last seen wearing...
Why did you turn it off, Doc?
Well, that is, the fog's bad enough without news like that distracting me.
Hey, watch that wheel, Doc. Your hand's shaking. Why are you so nervous?
Nervous? Well, it's just this fog. I can't see an inch ahead of me. It gives me the jitters.
Oh, yeah. Say, thanks for stopping to give me a lift.
Oh, that's perfectly all right.
Didn't think I'd ever get a lift tonight. No one likes to take on a hitchhiker.
You from these parts?
In a way.
You said you were going into town?
Yeah.
Which town?
Oh, same one you're headed for.
Somerset?
Yeah, Somerset, that's it. No, it's funny how you get chummy on the road and tell your life's history, huh? See, you're Dr. Richard Bennett. You're going to Somerset to take over some ailing old MD's practice. His daughter, too, huh? What's her name again? Marcia?
Yes. What town did I pick you up at, friend?
Harmon. So you've never seen Marcia or her old man, huh?
Why, no. No, I haven't.
Just exchanged letters with her from overseas Japan. Now here you are, coming to a strange town to take over. Life history. It's funny the way guys open up on the road, ain't it? Now you take me. You know all about me, too, huh?
No, I don't.
You sure?
You didn't say a word. You didn't open your mouth till now, just now, and...
When what? When you turned the radio off and stared at me?
I stared at you?
Yeah. Watch the road, Doc. What was so interesting?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
No, come on, tell me, Doc. Why did you look at me like that? Why the sudden once-over?
The once-over? What gave you that idea?
Never mind my ideas, Doc. I'm wondering about yours.
But listen,
You suddenly got a bright idea, didn't you, Doc? You saw the light, huh? Maybe you can see this, too, this gun.
Now, wait a second.
Okay, Doc, just pull over to the side of the road. Come on, Doc, be smart. Pull over.
Oh, no. No, I'm not going to pull over. I'm going faster. It's 55 now, 60. You can't shoot me, Elkins, not now. Not while I keep it going this fast.
You got this figured all wrong, Doc. I can let you have it. After all, what have I got to lose? If I get caught, it's the chair. If we go off the road, so I get killed, so what? But you get killed too, Doc. And you've got a lot to lose. Now, look. I'm going to count to 5, Doc. If you don't stop by then, I'm going to give it to you. 1. Listen, Doc, stop the car now and you'll be okay. 2. Maybe I'll take your car, but what have I got to gain by killing you? 3, Doc. 3.
I'm not stopping.
Out here in the country, you'll be stranded for the night, but I don't have to shoot you, Doc. I'll get my head start. 4. I said 4, Doc. Getting kind of close.
How do I know you won't shoot me?
It's your only chance. If you don't stop now, I'm surely going to let you have it. The other way, you got a chance. That's better, Doc. Now you're playing it smart. Okay, Doc, get out, but don't try anything.
Now, look, Elkins. You have nothing to gain by...
I know, Doc. I said that myself. Now start walking into those woods.
But...
Don't argue with me. Get going. Still got a chance, Doc. Just trust your luck. Been pretty good so far. Got you to be a sawbones. Got your girl. This'll do, Doc. Stop here. Now he can't be seen from the road.
Elkins, I was only trying to be a decent guy, giving you a ride.
Sure, Doc. You're a good guy. You're a big guy, too. Just about my size. Take off your coat, Doc. We're going to change clothes.
Sure.
Come on. Your shirt, too.
Here's my coat.
With a shirt.
All right.
Silk shirt, huh? Nice. The pants. Come on, hurry, hurry.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't bother to put my stuff on. You won't catch cold. You don't have to be modest because... Blue darters. What do you know? Too soon to close in the car. What a break. Well, now to get going. Spark plugs must be wet. Come on, baby. Start. Hey, somebody coming. Motorcycle cop.
All right, you. What's the idea?
Oh, what's the matter?
Your tail light's out. Want somebody to come along and smash into you?
Gosh, it was on last time I noticed. Headlights are okay. Let me start my motor, see if that makes any difference.
All right. Maybe it went on then. All right, just a second. I'll have a look. No, switch on your brights. See if it works that way.
Okay, just a second. Yeah, copper, just a second while I shift into reverse like this. Ah! Dumb copper. What's that? Roadblock. Might have known they wouldn't waste any time.
Hey, you want to get killed? Didn't you see this roadblock?
I know. Sorry, officer. The fog, you know.
Well, let's see your license. Jameson, you come on to the side.
Okay,
What's the matter, officer? Something wrong?
Yeah, plenty. Some guy escaped from the state prison. Now, let's see your license.
My license?
You got one, ain't you?
Yeah, it's right here. My wallet someplace. Yeah, here it is.
Let's see now. 6 feet 2, 190, brown hair. Bennett. Dr. Richard Bennett?
Huh?
Oh, so you're the new doc coming to Somerset.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I heard old Doc Milburn's been expecting you.
Doc Milburn's expecting him. The whole town's expecting him. Excuse us for stopping you like this, Doc.
Yes, sir. This is a heck of a reception. Practically being me mistook for an escaped convict.
Well, look, Red, I got an idea. Why don't we greet Doc Bennett here in style? You're going off duty in a few minutes anyway. Give him a motorcycle escort to Marsh's place.
That's a swell
Now,
idea.
wait a minute.
Won't
I don't
take
want
no
you...
for an answer. No, sir.
Boy, would I like to see Marsh's face when you pull up with that siren going.
Now, look, fellas, I appreciate all
Skip
this.
it, Doc. I'm already on the motorcycle. Come on. Let's go.
Go ahead, Doc. My relief shows up in time. I'll bring up the rear.
Yeah. Here we are, Doc. Here's the house.
Well, thanks a lot, officer. I'll see you later.
Sure. But let me get Marcia first.
No, that's all right. You just run along.
I don't mind at all. Hey, Marcia. Marcia.
Hello, Red. Is something wrong?
Wrong? Everything's fine. Look who I got with me.
Who?
Him. Don't you know him?
Good, Red. I never saw that man before in my life.
Hey, what goes? Look, didn't you say you was Dr. Richard Bennett?
Why, yes.
Dr. Richard Bennett. Oh, Dick, can you ever forgive me?
Say, what is this?
I thought you'd recognize me at first sight, Marcia, after all our letters.
Oh, Dick, do come in, please. Don't stand out here.
Now, look, Marcia,
Oh,
what
it's
is
all
going-
right, Red, and thanks for showing him the way. You see, Red, we'd never really met. Well, anyway, it's all right.
Leave it to a woman to foul things up, eh, Doc? Had me thinking you were that escaped convict or something for a minute.
Oh, Red.
Well, be seeing you.
Goodbye, Red. Well, Dick, do come in, please. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Well, don't stand out there. Come on. You know, we'd just about given you up. It's so late, and Dad and I thought that with the fog and all over the road, well, look, I'll call Dad.
You know, I hoped you'd look like this, but I never thought. But I would have known you.
Oh, I think I'd have known you too, Dick, if you'd given me 1 second more. Tall, serious looking. But you didn't write me that you were wounded.
Wounded?
Well, that scar on your cheek.
Oh, that. Well,
Who's that? Just came in, Marcia.
Dad, he's here.
Oh,
Dr. Bennett.
Dr. Bennett. Well, at last. Hello, Dick. Don't mind my calling you that, though we've never met.
good to see you, Dr. Milburn.
You must be tired and hungry.
Well, I am a little.
Of course you are. I'll show you up to your room, and Marcia, warm up something for Dick.
All right, Dad.
Hurry, or I'll tell Dick all about Scotty, the motorcycle cop you used to keep company with.
Oh, Dad.
Until your male romance started, of course. Well, we can all have a nice long chat. You two can talk about those soulful letters, but save me a moment with him, Marcia, to discuss his new patient.
All right, Dad.
And I'd like him to see some X-ray plates I've just developed. Right this way, Dick.
Okay.
Over here. Here they are, Dick. X-ray shots. Get to know your future patients inside out.
Yeah.
I know it's late, but here's one I'd like your diagnosis on.
My diagnosis?
We'll see if it checks with mine. Here, take it. Now hold it up to the light. Now, what do you make of it?
What do I make of it? Well, I'd say...
What? Dick.
Huh?
You will have your little joke, eh?
What do you mean?
Oh, you know well enough what I mean. You're holding that X-ray upside down.
Boy, I'm hungry. Never been hungrier in my life.
Do you want any more, Dick?
No, you just take it easy.
Dick, you seem so jumpy. Is there anything wrong?
Wrong? No, I'm just tired and, well, you know how it is, coming into a strange town, taking over a new practice, patients I don't even know. Got me sort of phased.
But that's what I always like about you. Your attitude.
Attitude?
When things go wrong. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. You finish it, Dick.
Finish it?
I'd like to hear you say it.
Say what?
With the rest of the poem.
Poem? I don't know it.
Oh, stop kidding, Dick. It's Invictus.
Yeah? Well, I still don't know it.
Oh, that's strange.
Why? Some people like one poem, others, well, they don't. What's strange?
Because that was your favorite poem, Dick. You quoted it to me in one of your letters. Remember?
How are you feeling now, Dick?
Okay, I guess.
I better get a good night's rest, then you can start right in tomorrow.
Tomorrow? You mean start treating patients tomorrow?
Oh, yes. Sooner you take over, the better.
Oh, but I'm all fagged out, Doc. I need a rest.
Oh, by tomorrow, you'll be as fresh as daisy.
No. Look, I need a couple of days. That's all. A couple of days, and then I'll be all set.
Well, Dick...
Let me get accustomed to things, and then...
I'll see who it is,
Fine,
Dad.
yes.
Excuse me, Dick.
Is your dad in, Marcia?
Yes, Red? Oh, good Lord, what's happened?
There's been an accident.
Why, it's Scotty.
Yep. He must have got run over. We found him lying on the road near his motorcycle. Unconscious.
Dad!
Yeah?
Come here, quick!
What's happened?
It's Scotty. He was run
Oh,
over.
great heavens. Bring him into my office. Easy now. Easy.
All right, Doc.
Yeah,
All
take
right.
it easy. Yeah. Put him down there.
Here?
Yeah, on the couch.
Okay.
Scotty? Oh, Scotty.
Looks like hit and run, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm going down to headquarters and report it.
Yes, Fred, you do that.
Call me at headquarters when you're finished.
Marcia, this is a...
Here, Dad.
Got to cut away his uniform.
Scotty? Scotty, this is Marcia. Listen, Scotty. What happened?
No nasal or oral hemorrhage. Good.
Some guy. Car parked at the side of the road.
Easy now. I want to listen to your heart.
How is he, Father?
He'll be all right.
Oh, thank goodness.
Multiple contusions and abrasions.
Will you have
Shock.
to move him to the hospital, Dad?
Not now. First aid right now.
He ran over me on purpose. Meant to kill me.
What?
I think it was escaped killer. Curly Elkins.
Curly Elkins.
Did you get a good look at him?
Scotty, describe him, and we'll notify headquarters.
Well, his height was about...
Dr. Milburn, I'll take over this
Oh,
patient.
Dick.
But, Dr. Bennett, I don't... Well, I thought you wanted to wait a few days.
I know, but you were right. I got to begin sometime. It may as well be now.
That voice.
What is it, Scotty?
That voice. Just now.
Lost consciousness again. What did he say?
I don't know. Something about a voice.
Just leave him to me. I'll handle it.
Well, let me explain the case.
I know. It's an accident case.
How did you know?
Well, I'm a mind reader. Pretty obvious, isn't it?
Well, my diagnosis...
I'll make my own diagnosis.
Well, all right, but I'll just stay around and help.
No help.
What?
No one's going to help me when you're gone, so I want to handle my very first case in this town alone.
Very well.
But, Dick, can't I? I always help Father in cases like...
No, Marcia. You go, too. Now, don't worry. I know he means a lot to you both. Rest easy. I'll take good care of him. Very good care of him.
All right. Let's go, Marcia.
How do you feel, Scotty?
Who are you?
Don't you know? Honest? How did you get run over? Did you get a good look at the driver?
No.
You sure?
I want to see old Doc Milburn.
Why? What do you want to tell him? You sure you can't identify that driver?
No.
I don't believe you. You're lying. You said that voice. What voice? What did you mean?
I want to talk to Marcia and the doc. Let me see him.
I'm taking care of you, Scotty. I'm going to fix you up good right now. The scalpel ought to do the trick.
Look.
Take it easy,
What are you
Scotty.
trying to
Lie
do?
still. Just a little
No,
insurance,
forget it.
see? To make sure you'll be all right.
I wish he'd hurry with Scotty. Dad, there's something funny about him, isn't there?
You think so, too?
Yes, I do. I recited a poem to him, one he had sent me, and, well, he didn't remember it.
Oh. That's nothing to condemn a man for, but I don't know. Maybe we'd better check up while He's busy with Scotty.
Yes, I can call his club in Los Angeles. Get a description of him.
Maybe you'd better.
All right. Hello? Hello, operator? Operator?
Put down that phone. I said put down that phone. That's better. We don't want the police now, do we?
What have you done to Scotty?
Get a box for him after I'm gone.
Dr. Bennett. You're not Dr. Bennett.
That's right. My name is Elkins, Curly Elkins. But Dr. Bennett is lying out in the woods with a bullet in his head.
Oh, no.
I got a bullet for each of you, too, if you make one false
You're
move.
not going to get away with this, Elkins.
Dad, don't.
Why, you old...
Dad.
That was dumb of you, Doc. Never rush a guy with a gun. Now, listen to me, both of you. In case the cops return to check on Scotty's condition, you won't let him in the door. Scotty was fixed up, see, and went away for arrest. If either of you say one word out of turn, you're going to get it.
What do you want from us? Why don't you leave?
I'm staying right here, sister, right in this house until the heat's off. Remember this. I'd just as soon kill you as look at you. I'm staying put. You're going to cover for me. Because if you don't, if you or your old man try anything or give me away, it's curtains for both of you. Now, how does that sound? Convincing? Well, that wasn't such a bad night now, was it? Cozy, just the three of us? Lot better than the pen, huh?
You can't keep this up forever, Elkins. Someone's sure to find out. And then...
Then it's flowers for you. Yeah, and for your Marcia, too. Get up, Doc. I don't like to see you always laying around, see?
Can't get up. You hurt his back when you hit him with your gun. But we'll get even with you, Elkins. You can't keep us prisoners forever. One of us will find a way. You can't always stay up chain smoking. You've got to go to sleep sometime.
Yeah, sure I do, sis. But when I do, I'll take your old man into the room with me and tie him up. Then I'll lock the door and sleep with a gun under my pillow. If anyone tries to get into that room...
You've got it all figured out, haven't you, Elkins? But what are you going to do in a couple of hours when my patients come in?
I thought of that, too, Doc. You'll tell them all you got kind of crippled falling down the stairs, see, and you'll send them away. But you won't let out one peep because all the time I'll be upstairs with Marcia. She'll stay alive as long as you play ball, Doc. That's just how long, no more. What's taking us so long? Hurry up with that coffee.
It's not boiled yet, Elkins.
What's taking you so long? You growing it? Gotta have a swallow of Java, you hear?
Marcia's bringing it. What's the matter? Why so jumpy? Why your eyes so bloodshot?
Shut up.
Look at your hands, trembling. What is it? Conscience? I doubt it.
Shut up, Doc. Clam up, you hear?
Nerves? What are you afraid of? You got the gun in your hand?
Clam up, I say, or I'll... Let's see who's jumpy. As soon as I've had my coffee, just wait. Gonna be glad to get rid of me, hey, Doc? Half an hour, it'll be dark, and I'm scrambling out of here. You feel good about that, eh, Sawbones?
I can't say I'll be sorry.
You hear that, Marcia? He thinks I'm going off and leave you two here to blow the whistle on me. He thinks I'm fool enough to do that. What's he take me for, a dope?
Elkins, no. Good heavens, man, surely you won't. Elkins, do anything you want to me, but Marcia...
She's deaf and dumb. She can't talk to the cops.
I promise we won't. We won't breathe a word. Not a word. I beg you.
Ask me, Doc. Ask me right. Who knows? Come on with that Java.
Coming? You like it hot, don't you?
Give it here. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I won't, Doc. Maybe I'll kiss you both goodbye. Or maybe 2 bullets will do it. Can't be sure, can it? Give you kind of a funny feeling, huh?
Drink your coffee.
Who's nervous now, huh? Don't know if you're alive or dead in a few minutes from now. Ain't that something?
Drink your coffee, Elkins.
Why?
Why what?
Why are you so anxious for me to drink this cup of coffee?
You wanted it, didn't you?
Is it good?
I hope so.
You hope so, huh? You hope maybe a few drops of poison will do the trick and get rid of me,
What
huh?
are you talking about?
You wouldn't try a little thing like that now, would you, to save your own neck? Here, you drink it.
Me?
Yeah, you drink it. Drink it, I say. Take a few swallows.
Very well. Why not? For all the silly things. Give it here. There. Are you satisfied now?
Okay. Wasn't taking any chances. Give me that coffee now.
Dad. BCD.
C2SO4, quick.
What's all that? What was that double talk?
Double talk, Elkins?
Come on, spill it. What was it all about? Where'd she run off to?
She's gone to the next room, to the dispensary.
What for?
To get a drink
Drink? Of what?
of a certain liquid.
What for? What is this? Tell me, you scheming old devil, or I'll kill you right now. What did she ask you? What did you answer? What?
My daughter just asked me the antidote for poison. I gave it to her.
Antidote. Poison.
That was poison coffee you both just drank,
But-
Elkins. It will take exactly 60 seconds to kill you.
60 seconds. Now. Marcia.
Yes, Elkins?
I...
May I help you? Do you want something in this laboratory?
Antidote. Swallow.
Oh, yes, I took some myself. I quite well now, thank you.
Give it to me. Where is it?
Now, isn't it a pity I forget?
Where is it? What bottle? All these bottles. Which one? Which... Doc, tell me. Tell me which one. My inside's burning. Which one?
C2SO4,
What's that?
the antidote.
See what?
But the full name's on the bottle.
What's it mean? What's the name?
You're a doctor, aren't you?
Doc.
Surely you weren't merely posing.
Give me a break.
Any doctor would know, Dr. Bennett.
Get it for me. It hurts. Get it.
I'd be glad to, Dr. Bennett. If you hadn't crippled me. But I can't move. I must lie on this couch, perhaps for life. Or else I'd get the bottle for you and save you.
I'll kill you.
No, Dr. Bennett. There is no antidote to death.
And so the curtain falls on Prescription for Murder, which was chosen by guest expert Bruno Fisher, whose latest thriller, The Restless Hands, will soon be published. Next week at this time, Murder by Experts brings you the story of an invisible menace which terrorizes a whole city. Selected for your approval by the noted mystery writer, Mr. Lawrence Blockman. Until then, this is your host, John Dixon Carr, hoping you'll be with us again next week at this time.
Prescription for Murder was written by Joseph Ruskell and Paul Monash. In the cast were Kenny Lynch, Kathy McGregor, Roger DeKoven, Bernie Grant, and Jack Curtis. Music is under the direction of Emerson Buckley, composed by Richard DuPage. Murder by Experts is produced and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Cogan. All characters in our story were fictitious. Any resemblance to the names of actual persons was purely coincidental. This is Phil Tompkins speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
We take you now, by transcription, behind the scenes of a police headquarters in a great American city, where under the cold, glaring lights will pass before us the innocent, the vagrant, the thief, the murderer. This is the lineup.
Ben.
Oh, quiet.
Your people are all here.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, right over there.
Thanks. Big line?
Good size. About 24, I think. Any news on the other men on the bank job?
No, not yet. I'll see you later.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's possible. Now, you take Bill
Hello.
Ryan.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant. Here, you want to sit here?
No, this is all right, thanks.
We were just talking about people, about criminals.
Oh?
We were just discussing how you really can't say a person looks like a criminal.
No, you can't. You're
There's
right.
the young man who works in the bank, Bill Ryan.
Looks about as mean as they come. Real so-called criminal type. You know, narrow eyes, usual things that people automatically
Just
identify.
as sweet and nice, very timid, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Do you think you've caught them?
Well, not all of them, and maybe two.
Oh, well, that's very good. Two of them.
Room. May I have your attention, please? Thank you. My name is Carger, Sergeant Pete Carger. I'll explain the lineup to you. Each of the suspects you will see will be numbered. I'll call off a number, their name, and charge. If you have any questions or identifications, please remember the number assigned to the prisoner as I call his name. If you're sure or not too sure of the suspect, have him held. The questions I ask these suspects are merely to get a natural tone of voice, so do not pay too much attention to their answers, as they often lie. All right, bring on the line. Okay, keep it moving. Right over here at the end of the stage. Come on. Now turn and face front. Hands at your sides, look straight ahead. Straight out through the screen. That's right. You, number 3.
Me?
Yeah. Don't take your glasses off till I tell you.
Okay.
Now, you see, a lot of those
Now, when I
boys
call
up
out
there
your
don't
number,
look a
step
bit
out.
like criminals.
Yes, but some of them sure do.
Everybody can hear you. It's a big room. We got a lot of people here tonight. I want all those people to get a good look at you, be able to hear what you say. So stand up and talk up. Okay, number 1, William Skinner, robbery. Keep your head up, Bill. Okay, where do you live?
Over on the east side, River District.
What's the address?
No address. It's down by the river. The shack.
How long you lived there?
Oh, I don't know. I guess close to 6-8 months.
What's your business?
My business?
What do you do?
Oh, I don't do much. I don't work much anymore. Jobs are getting pretty tough.
Were you arrested with anybody?
No, I was alone when I got picked up. I wasn't with nobody.
Have any weapons on you?
Weapons? Yeah, I guess so.
What were they?
Much more than one.
All right, describe it.
A gun, 38 revolver.
Was it chrome, blue steel, or what?
Blue steel, I guess.
You have a car?
I don't own one.
Were you driving a car?
Yeah.
Describe it. What kind of a car?
It was a sedan. Chevy, I think.
What color was it?
I don't really remember. It was dark. I don't remember it because it was night and I wasn't in it long enough to notice the color. They picked me up pretty quick.
How long have you lived in this town, Bill?
A couple of years, I guess.
Okay, step back. Number 2, George Cosgrove, robbery.
Lieutenant.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Monroe?
That man.
Yes, he looks like one of them.
And the man next to him.
Yes, he looks like another one.
107 South 90th.
That looks like one of them.
Yes,
what's
sure
your business?
does.
Clerk,
What kind of clerk?
That's one of them, Lieutenant.
I work at Farmer's.
Yes, that's one of them. And the next one.
Yes, absolutely.
Sergeant Carger,
78 North Adams.
Yes, Lieutenant.
have number 3 step out beside that man, please.
Number 3, step out. Move up right next to him. Okay.
Well, how about it?
Oh, there's not the slightest doubt.
Oh, I swear that those were two of the men.
Yeah, we thought so. We arrested them together. Sergeant Carger,
Yes, Lieutenant.
hold number 2 and number 3 for interrogation.
Oh, thanks. Smells good.
Well, we'll work on Cosgrove first.
Okay. Gonna be tough, though.
Well, maybe with the identifications we can get something.
I'll bet you a dinner, Cosgrove or Santley. Don't say a thing.
I owe you a dinner. It's a bet.
Yeah, Ben.
Cosgrove.
Okay.
Cosgrove and Santley have worked together before.
Did a stretch together. Cold in here?
Yeah, a little.
Their ammo show they never worked with anybody else.
Well, they haven't been out long. Whoever those other two guys were, they probably contacted Cosgrove.
Cosgrove, Lieutenant.
Oh. Sit down, George.
Need me?
Uh-uh. George, you were identified in the line.
Yeah. Gonna save everybody a lot of time if you tell us who the other two men were on the job.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't on no job.
Now, look, I don't want to go over all that again.
All right.
We know you and Santley were 2 of 4 men that held up the First National Bank.
I told you before. I'll tell you again.
We found some money in your place.
I didn't put it there.
2 of the bank employees identified you.
They're crazy.
A guard was shot. He may not live.
I'm telling you. I didn't have nothing to do with the job.
I guarantee you a jury won't believe it.
You and Santley have pulled off a few jobs before in the past.
Yeah, we did time. Going straight now.
The money we found in your place figures about half of what was taken from the bank.
Ask Santley.
I'm asking you.
I'm telling you. I had nothing to do with it.
Maybe Santley did.
Ask him.
We're asking you.
If Santley had something to do with it, he didn't tell me.
3 men walked into that bank. 1 man in the car.
Yeah, I know. I read about
3 men walked out of that bank with $173,000. You and Santley were identified as 2 of those men.
Look, you can talk all night. I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Who were the other 2?
Look, I tell you, I didn't.
Yeah?
Can you come out here, man?
Important?
Very.
Be right there. Talk to him, Pete.
Glad to.
Okay, what's so hot?
You know Stan Holt?
Oh, hello, Lieutenant.
Yeah, I know Stan. Been a long time.
Yeah, I've been going straight.
Tell the lieutenant what you told me, Stan.
Well, like I said, I've been going straight. I got a job, and I haven't gotten mixed up in nothing since I got out.
Just tell him what you told me.
Well, I will, but I'm just worried about getting into trouble.
What is it, Stan?
Well, you done me a favor once. About a week ago, a guy came to see me. A guy I did time with. He wanted to know if I wanted to drive for a job.
What job?
A bank job. He didn't tell me what bank. He just asked me if I wanted in.
Who was the guy?
My name's Castro, Benny Castro.
We got a record on him?
Yeah, it's coming up.
He never worked this territory. He's a Detroit boy. He was pretty big time before he got sent up. I got to know him pretty well in Stir, but I hadn't seen him till the other day. I didn't even know he was out until he showed up at my place.
How do you know where to find you?
Well, he said George Cosgrove gave him my address.
You know Cosgrove?
Uh-huh. I've seen him a couple of times in the last couple of months. He always wanted to get together, figure out a job. He was always with a guy named Santley. Well, I read the papers this morning, and I put 2 and 2 together.
No, what do you mean?
Well, if Castro shows up at my place and says Cosgrove told him where to find me, I figure he must be working with Castro. And when I read about the First National job and how you already got Cosgrove and Santley...
Where can we find Castro?
Oh, I don't know.
There were 4 men in on the job.
Well, Castro was the only one I saw.
Here's the package on Castro.
Give it to Ben, Asher.
Okay, thanks.
Well, hello, Stan.
Oh, hello. I don't remember your name.
Asher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Castro's really got a reckon.
Yeah, do you work with anybody special?
I work with a lot of boys. A lot of special ones.
He was a pretty big boy. He pulled off some fancy jobs before they sent him up.
And he came to see you about a week ago, huh?
I think it was on a Saturday. It was a Friday or Saturday or last week, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Quine, put out a pickup for Castro.
Right. Oh, I'll get it.
And you don't know who the other man is, eh, Stan?
No, I don't know who it could be.
Right. Well, you'll have to testify.
Yeah.
I will.
We'll give you plenty of protection.
Okay, thanks. That was a hospital. The bank guard just died.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this Castro's a nasty guy.
Yeah.
He'll kill me if he finds out I came here.
Now, relax, Stan, relax. You'll get protection, and when we catch Castro, he's not going to be in a position to kill anybody.
Cosgrove and Santley sure don't feel like talking.
Then we'll work on them until they do. Pete, you and Asher work on Santley. Quine now take Cosgrove.
Okay.
Santley's in that one.
See you later.
Well, let's get to work.
Papers have got the story on Castro.
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous.
Okay, we won't need you, Phillips.
Don't you guys ever get tired?
You should be a little tired by now.
Yeah, I'm a little tired.
Cigarette?
No.
Okay. We're going to work in shifts, Cosgrove. We're going to just keep talking to you until you tell us.
I've already told you.
How's Benny Castro?
Who?
Castro.
Benny Castro.
One of the guys you held up the bank with.
I didn't hold up.
Detroit boy. You did some time with him.
I don't know him.
Contacted a guy named Holt last week. Wanted Holt to come in on the job.
I don't know any guy named Holt.
Stanley Holt.
I don't know him.
You did time with him.
You say I did time with him. You say I did time with this,
Castro.
Yeah, well, I don't know him. I did time with a lot of guys.
Who
was he, Santley?
I tell you, I didn't have nothing to do with that bank job.
You and Cosgrove and Castro.
No.
Who was the other guy?
How can I tell you if I don't know who you're talking about?
First National Bank job.
I know that.
Thought you said you didn't know what we were talking about.
I mean, these other guys.
You sure you didn't pull that job off by yourself?
I didn't pull it off at all. I didn't know nothing about it. I told you guys a dozen times.
Tell us again.
I didn't have nothing to do with it.
You'll go to trial and they'll convict you.
I didn't have nothing to do with it.
We know Castro was in on it with you. Castro was the other man in the bank with you and Cosgrove.
I wasn't in the bank.
Now, there's no use getting excited, Santley.
I'm tired. You guys have been pounding on me all day and half the night. I want some sleep.
Now, let's take it real easy and start again.
Again?
Again, from the beginning. Who was the other guy?
I don't know. I tell you for the 100th time, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we got a long time until you change your mind.
I don't know any guy named Castro. I don't know anything about the bank job.
A dozen people say you do.
And I say I don't. You hear me? I say I don't!
We hear.
I don't know.
Come on, Santley.
You sewed up. Tell us and make it easy for yourself.
You and Cosgrove are a cinch to be convicted. We know Castro was the third man in the bank.
Who was the guy in the car?
Where's Castro? Where can we find him?
Oh, please, lay off.
We get tired just like you do.
Then lay off.
Tell us where we can find Castro.
I don't know.
Feel like some dinner, Pete?
Yeah. Get Bishop and Evans in here.
Yeah, 2 roast beef rare. What's the matter with you guys tonight?
Oh, we're beat.
And I thought something was wrong. You ain't making wisecracks.
Yeah, bring me some milk, eh?
Sure.
Hi.
Hello, Charlie.
I think I'll have some milk, too.
That's 2 milks.
Yeah, where's the menu?
Here.
You guys look like you've been to a funeral.
Charlie, how's the roast beef?
It's pretty good.
I can give you a nice outside cut.
Okay, some coffee.
Yeah.
And 2 milks, 2 beefs.
Make mine rare.
2 coffee.
My mouth tastes awful. I must have smoked a whole pack.
Nothing, eh, Ben?
No, these guys are tough.
I can't understand it.
No, what?
Santley and Cosgrove, they know we've got him.
They're afraid of Castro.
Yeah.
They'll give it up sooner or later.
Hey, wait a minute.
Well, the way it's going, I don't know whether they will or not. Huh?
For you.
Oh, someday that phone isn't gonna ring.
Hey, we ribbed Charlie a lot.
Got
But he
me?
really does have good beef. I don't know how he does it at these prices.
Where?
Yeah, a plate this size would cost.
All right. Cargo now, get right
$2.50
over.
a place like
Yeah,
that.
you're
Joey's, you know.
Yeah, I gotta break it up, Pete.
Oh, Ben.
Come on.
What's up, man?
You guys get back over with Santley and Cosgrove as soon as you can. Holt, a witness that identified Castro, was just killed.
What? Small and Leeds?
Small's okay. He got one of the 2 men who killed Holt. Leeds is hurt pretty bad.
Well, let's go. They're small.
Yeah.
Hello, Ben. Pete?
You all right, Tom?
Just barely. They were waiting in the hotel lobby. Hey, come on. Let us through.
Who's in the ambulance?
Leeds. Got 2 in the chest. There's the guy I got. Leeds and I were right behind Holt.
And where's Holt?
There, by the elevator.
Oh.
Really nailed him.
I didn't even see it coming. The guy I got was standing over there behind that pillar. Castro
You sure it was Castro?
looked like his mug. I only got a quick flash. Leeds took Castro, and I took the guy they hauled off.
Well, who was he?
Identification in his wallet said Paul Williams. I've never seen him before.
Castro was in the hall.
Yeah, he blasted Holt. Yelled something about no good squealer. I started to go for him, but the other guy opened up. Castro cut down Leeds before he could get his gun out. By the time I went after him, he was out the back way. Had a car. I heard it pull away.
I didn't see it, though.
No. I'm sorry about this, Ben.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
But I should have spotted it.
How?
I should have. Should have been ready for it. I know darn well Leeds has had it.
A rotten shame.
Sure is. You know his wife?
Well, I met her.
I know the whole family pretty well.
Oh, he might pull through.
Not a chance. Doc said he was nearly gone when they drove off.
Well, I'll go over and see the family.
No. Let me do it.
Okay. Come on, Pete. We're going back and show Santley and Cosgrove how to talk.
I can't talk anymore. I'm beat. I just can't
You're
talk.
going to talk until you tell us where we can find Castro.
The bank guard's dead, Holt's dead, Paul Williams is dead, and a good cop's close to it.
I swear, Cosgrove, if you don't tell us where we can find
I
Castro...
told you I don't know.
Where were you 2 days ago?
Oh,
Where
no.
were you?
I told you.
Where were you?
I was at home.
All day?
Yeah.
You just stayed in all day?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I don't remember. I just stayed in.
You don't know Castro?
No.
You were in stir with him?
No, maybe I met him.
We're going to book you for murder.
Book me? Look, you guys have been working on me like this for nearly 2 days. Now, get satisfied, will you?
We're trying to.
I mean, lay off.
Where'd you meet Paul Williams?
I don't know Paul Williams.
He drove the car.
I don't know him.
He was the man waiting in the car while you held up the bank.
While you held it up with Castro and Santley.
A cop's dying,
Okay. I held up the bank. I pulled off the job.
Where can we find Castro?
I don't know.
Where does he live?
I don't know.
Where'd you meet to plan this job?
Look, please, I told you I was in on...
Where did you meet?
In a garage.
Where?
What garage?
On River. I don't remember the name.
Remember it.
I don't know. It was in a garage in the 1100 block.
You never saw Castro except in that garage?
No.
You're lying.
No, that's the truth.
How'd you meet him?
In stir.
Where did you meet him after you got out?
In the garage?
No.
You told us you never saw him outside that garage.
Okay, I saw him once when I met him. He told me to meet him at the garage.
You gave him Stan Holt's address?
Yeah.
Where does Castro live?
I told you I don't know where...
You know. You're afraid he'll pay you off like he paid off Holt.
Where is it, Cosgrove?
Okay, he lives at the West Side Hotel, but you ain't gonna find him there.
Where else would we find him?
Well, he might be holed up in the garage or at his girl's.
Where's his girl's?
657 East Sycamore. Her name's June Bender.
Okay, house, hotel, what?
It's a house, a little white dome. Look, please, don't tip him what I told you. You don't know that guy.
We'll introduce ourselves. That's the house.
Oh, lights on.
You two cover the back.
Right.
Okay, let's go. Asher, you better stay out of the way and cover us with the Thompson.
Okay, man.
Yeah?
I'm a police officer.
Holy... Hey, what do you think you're doing?
I've got a warrant.
What's
Pete.
going on? Hey, what do you think you're...
Where's Castro?
What?
I'll check the house.
Okay. Castro, Benny Castro, where is he?
I don't know no Benny Castro.
You know him. Where is he?
You ain't got no right.
He's wanted for murder.
I don't know him. You ain't gonna find nobody here.
No, not here, Ben.
Now get out of here.
Let's go, miss.
What do you mean?
You're under arrest.
What for what?
He's not in the house. Better try the garage.
Is he in the garage?
Ain't got no garage.
I mean the one on River.
Why don't you go look?
We are.
You can't do this. Gee, what are the neighbors gonna say?
Staked out. 3 at the sides, 3 at the back.
Okay. Come on in with us.
Okay. There's a gray sedan parked in the alley.
Well, it wouldn't be Castro's. If he's in the garage, his car's in with him.
Wish there was a window.
Yeah, there's one around the back. High, but it's blacked out. We can use a gas gun on it.
Yeah. A heavy lock.
Heavy door.
And give me the shotgun. Get out of the way. I'm going to blast the lock, then push my way in. Come in after me.
Right after you.
Okay.
Go on.
Hey, somebody's in here. Left the light on.
He was behind that car.
Yeah, move away from me. Move away. Castro! Come on out with your hands up. Okay, blast him.
He's down, Ben.
Castro, all right. Yeah. You know, I'm a little tired.
Come on, let's get out of this garage, huh? It's damp.
The lineup, where before you pass the innocent, the vagrant, the thief, the murderer.
My name is Cogger, Sergeant Pete Cogger. I'll explain the lineup to you. Each of the suspects you will see will be numbered. I'll call off a number, their name, and charge. If you have any questions or identifications, please remember the number assigned to the prisoner as I call his name. At the end of each line, when I ask for questions or identifications, call out the number. If you're sure or not too sure, the suspect, have him held. The officers who took your name will assist you.
The date is August 17th, 1942. The place? Enemy installations in France. Down from the skies sweep 12 American B-17s in deadly accurate attacks. The first American heavy bomber attacks from England. The historic 8th Air Force is making its bid for immortality, the beginning of its long and noble tradition. This was the start of America's superb air effort in the European theater during World War II, the beginning of the greatest air power the world has ever known. Remember that date, August 17th, 1942, a day to be proud of, one of many great historic moments that make up the unforgettable saga of the United States Air Force.
The lineup, starring Bill Johnstone as Lieutenant Ben Guthrie, is written by Blake Edwards with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Featured in tonight's cast were Jack Moyles as Sergeant Pete Carger, with Hy Averback, Raymond Burr, Virginia Gregg, Herb Butterfield, Stacey Harris, Howard McNear, and Peter Leeds. The lineup was transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle.
Lineup has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. This one began with a flash of a knife and a woman's scream, and ended up with a new kind of love and a woman's tears.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
You ever notice how when the sun goes down, the chemistry of the whole earth starts a new reaction? The flowers close with the shop doors, sunshine leaves town with the buses, and the birds settle down like the dust covers on the department store counters. At night, perfume replaces the flowers, neon takes up the task of the sun, and the birds that take flight are the hearts of people looking for love and the good tomorrow. Someone said the night is a mantle that covers the weary and a cave of excitement for the adventuresome. He forgot to add that the night is also a mask for the evil. I was out making my rounds, covering my beat for a story. I talked with a bootblack here, a hat-check girl there, a head waiter or two, assorted cabbies, and came up with nothing but a few shreds of scandal that were better left unreported. When I turned onto Harding Street, there was a story for me, ready-made.
All right.
But it was a story I was sorry I had to report. A woman was lying on the sidewalk with a frightened look in her eyes. The shoulder of her dress was ripped open, and there was a red stain growing on her side. I walked up to the edge of the crowd that seemed to pour out of nowhere, and I pushed my way through. I'm from the press, Charlie.
Oh, hello, Randy. Didn't
Hi.
even look at your face.
Please stop the bleeding.
What happened, Charlie?
Said she was waiting for a taxi. There were 3 or 4 people with her. Before she knew...
Knife. He just slashed at me.
Try to lie quietly, will you, lady? It'll be better. Now you know. The 14th case like this in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know all about him. They call him the Slasher. Like a good newspaper man should, I got the names, the places, the what, why, and how, and then I phoned them in. Whoever did it moved into the darkness so fast nobody could get a good look at him. And the man the whole police force had tried to find for 3 weeks had come and gone like a vampire phantom. And another woman, they were always women, lay on the ground wounded. The whole thing disgusted me, and after the police had cleared things up, I went into Mike Creshaw's place for something cold to take the hot, dry taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, wouldn't that curdle your hair?
Yeah?
Right on this very street. I'd like to get my hands on that screwball. Just one hand. I'd fix him so as he wouldn't be able to cut paper dolls.
I hope they catch him soon.
Why don't you newspaper men do something? You got the power in this town.
Well, nobody knows what he looks like, where he comes from, or where he goes. What would you do if you were a newspaper reporter?
Well, now that you mention it, I don't know. But sometime, somewhere, they're going to catch him. And things are going very bad with this gent. Very bad indeed. Yeah, let me put a head on it.
Thank you. Mike, tell me, where'd you get those new murals on the walls?
All right, huh? Yeah, we had them done just last week. The place looks like a magazine cover, huh?
Mhm.
Look at those legs.
Who did them?
Oh, some joker named Rick. Rick Bennett. Works over at the Hofbrau now. I got him the job. Me.
That's pretty good-looking art for a bar.
Hey, you owed us a tab. We let him pay it off that way.
What's the matter with the face of that girl, the one on the right?
Hey, you know, I've been wondering about that myself. I think he must have made a mistake somewhere. What do you think?
Maybe he did make a mistake.
Yeah, but look at that shape.
Rick Bennett at the Hofbrau, huh?
That's the guy. Does sketching.
Thank you, Mike. I'll see you later. I didn't tell Mike what I was really thinking because it sounded too far-fetched to be true. But that mistake on her face looked to me like a scar. Why would a guy paint a scar on a beautiful woman's face? I dropped into the Hofbrau to get a look at this Rick Bennett. He was sitting in a corner booth with a pad of sketching paper, some charcoal, and some pastels. None of them were busy. I walked over. How much does a sketch cost?
$1.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a deal. Here's your buck.
Caricature or serious?
Oh, serious. I'm going to give this to my girl.
Don't waste your time. Turn your head, will you? A little more. Okay.
You been around here long?
3 weeks.
You been here all night?
Just came in 10 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I'm an orphan. I got 3 teeth missing. I was a shot put champion in high school, and my favorite food is liver and onions. Anything else?
No, not right now. He finished the picture in a few minutes. Without a word, he handed it to me. It was a perfect and talented reproduction, except for one thing. Down the left side of my face was a long, jagged scar.
It's my trademark. Want your buck back?
No, not especially. This is the strangest trademark I ever heard of. And the reporter hears of a lot of strange things.
What? Hey, you a newspaper man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me the sketch. Yeah. There. It's clean. No scar. And here's your $1 back. This one's free.
Oh, thank you. I get this preferential treatment just because I'm a reporter?
That's right. If I'm going to ask a favor of somebody, I have to use better manners. If you don't mind, I thought maybe you could help me.
What's your problem?
I came here looking for a girl. Yeah. Ever seen her?
No.
Her name is Selma Vasek. She's beautiful. Too beautiful for her own good. She sings and dances a little.
Well, I don't dance.
Well, maybe you've been in a nightclub somewhere and she danced by.
Can't seem to place her.
It It's the most important thing in the world that I find this girl. Being a reporter, you get around. You should know a lot of people.
I do, but I'm afraid she isn't one of them.
Selma's somewhere in Chicago. I know it. I'm not leaving this town until I find her.
All right, calm down, calm down. Why do you want to find her?
You ever hear of love? You know, boy meets girl. We had a little quarrel. Boy loses girl. She left. But I want to see her and make it all up to her.
Got an extra copy of her picture?
I got hundreds of them. I can give them to you in watercolors and oils and tempera and pastels and mud, plaster, or blood.
And if I happen to see her?
You tell her Rick Bennett, the love of her life, is looking for him. And Rick Bennett hasn't forgotten and that he's got something for her.
There was something about his recent appearance in town and his morbid interest in scarred flesh that made me creep a little along the spine. It seemed to me that for her own good, I might be wise to look up the girl whose name on the picture read Selma Vassick. But where do you start in a city of 5 million with just a picture and a suspicion? And I remembered Bennett had said Selma Vassick was a dancer. I knew nightclub entertainers got jobs through agents, so I began looking up every agent I could find at that hour. On my 12th one, little Al O'Brien, I got a nibble.
And now it seems to me, Randy, if you dyed this hair brunette and plucked those eyebrows a little and starved this girl for a few weeks, she'd be a dead ringer for a dame on the floor show at the Blue Marlin.
Are you sure?
Oh, of course, you'd have to change the name, too. The dame at the Blue Marlin is called Honey Kane.
The Blue Marlin was 5 minutes from Little Al's by cab, and I journeyed over. It was a drab joint needing paint and a new B in the sign and better liquor. I cased the chorus once, spotted Honey Kane, and went in the stage door. I caught her just coming off the floor.
All right, one side, Buster.
Selma,
My name is Honey Kane.
didn't it used to be Selma Vassick?
Go on, stop bothering me before I call some of the boys.
All right, maybe I made a mistake, honey, but if you are Selma Vassick, I have a message from Rick Bennett.
What connection do you have with Rick Bennett?
Well, not much.
All right, come on, here, in the prop room. I want to talk. All right. So I'm Selma Vassick. Now, who are you and what's with Rick Bennett?
I'm with the Chicago Star. My name is Randy Stone. I met Rick tonight. He said he was looking for you. I was lucky enough to find you.
I hope he's never that lucky. Mister, that guy is crazy. He's been following me from one city to another for 3 years. Never catching me, but always following.
You know him?
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood. He fell in love with me when he was 5 years old. I was 4. Laugh. I don't blame you.
Well, I fell in love when I was 3.
I did all my dating with Rick until I was 17. Then I went for another guy. Alfred Dimitri, his name was. One day, Dimitri ran his car into a tree. I was in it, and my head went right through the windshield. That was the last I saw of Dimitri. But Rick stuck by me. I was months recovering. I never did for him.
You'll be all right, Selma. Honest, you will. You'll be okay.
I won't. Look at me. I look like an old witch, one side of my face slashed open with an ugly scar.
It doesn't make any difference. People love you for what you are.
Love me? People won't even look at me. Oh, Ricky, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I might as well kill myself.
Don't say that, Selma. I meant it when I said it won't make any difference to me. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. I'll always take care of you. I love you like nobody else could.
Oh, Rick. Rick, please be nice to me. Please.
Oh, don't worry any more about that scar, Selma. If it's the last thing I do in this world, I'll fix it. I promise you.
Word, because as far as I can see, the scar's completely removed from your face.
Oh, there isn't a trace of it left. Look at me. I'm supposed to be a beautiful girl.
You are?
Don't make fun of me. You know how I lost the scar? Ricky worked like he never worked in his life. For 16 months, he sweated over his first important oil painting to enter into a competition. He was poor and hungry and couldn't even buy enough oils. And he won the competition, $5,000.
And that was the money that fixed your face?
It took every cent.
It was quite a sacrifice.
Rick never had another success. He just went on struggling and struggling, and I couldn't stand it anymore.
Couldn't stand watching him suffer or never having anything for yourself.
Why lie? It was mostly not having anything myself. Guys were beginning to look at me in that sweet way all over town, and all of a sudden I knew how to get money. Get up on the stage, behind the lights, become a rich, famous star. So I threw Rick over and left town. He's been chasing me ever since.
You wouldn't consider going back to him?
Go back to him, me? What have I got to bring him now? I'm not the same girl he was in love with. I haven't got the scar on my face anymore. I've got it inside. I'm another person. And the names for it aren't very nice. When he sees what I've turned out to be, I think he might want to kill me.
You really think that, Selma?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Selma, would you rather I didn't tell Rick where you are?
I'll pray for you every night if you don't tell him.
All right, it's your life. I took it slow and thoughtful back to the Hofbrau. Rick was strange and Selma was strange, and the whole world seemed tortured at the moment. I guess I should never have poked into their lives, but I couldn't escape the feeling that there was something about Rick Bennett that bore looking into. At the Hofbrau, they said he went home to his rooming house. I went there.
Oh, Stone, the newspaper bug. What are you doing here?
May I come in?
Sure. You want another portrait?
No. I think you know why I'm here, Bennett.
Yeah. I don't suppose you had any luck.
As a matter of fact, I did. I found her, just like that.
You found Selma? Selma, you found her? Well, where is she? Come on. Well, come on. Where is she?
I can't tell you.
Can't tell me after I've been looking for months and months for her? Well, come on. Spit it out, will you? Don't waste time.
If you'll sit down and be quiet, I'll tell you about it.
You tell me about it right now, or I'll tear you inside out.
This is going to get you nowhere.
Talk. Talk! I'll break every bone you have.
Now, you want to get up and talk sense now?
All right. Don't tell me. I never needed anybody before. I don't need anybody now. All right, don't tell me. I'll find her myself. When I do, she'll wish she never saw me.
Put down that knife, Bennett.
Yeah? You come within a foot of me, reporter. You'll be sliced in half now.
Get away from that dog. Go on, move!
He ran out of the room, the knife still in his hand, and his face a picture of twisted madness. And as he closed the door, for the first time I noticed the room was filled with dozens of pictures of Selma Bassett. And every one of them had a long, jagged scar painted on the face. I realized at last what I didn't want to. Rick Bennett was the slasher.
NBC is bringing you Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. Of Duffy's Tavern. The welcome mat is out at Duffy's, and your host will be the ungrammatical Archie, played by Ed Gardner. As usual, Duffy won't be there, but he'll be represented by his charming daughter, Miss Duffy. Clifton Finnegan and Eddie the waiter also will be on hand to join in the mischief with Archie. It's top Friday evening listening later tonight with Duffy's Tavern over most of these NBC stations. And a reminder, this Sunday on NBC, it's The Big Show, an hour and a half of the best in comedy, music, and drama. And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
As I stood in Rick Bennett's miserable room looking at the scarred picture of Selma Bassett everywhere, my first fear that he was going to run right out and find her disappeared after a little thought. Rick Bennett had no way of knowing where I'd interviewed her. I didn't think he should be running around the streets with a knife in his hand, so I called the police.
Central Division, Sergeant Friends.
Sergeant, my name is Randy Stone. I'm with the Chicago Star. Can you take something down? Height, about 5'11". Weight, about 170. Late 20s. Hair, black. Eyes, gray, I think. Last seen wearing a dark blue suit, no hat, no gloves. His name is Richard Bennett. He's the slasher.
Huh?
He's the slasher. I just tangled with him, and he was carrying a knife. Also, I ran into him 2 blocks from where a woman was slashed tonight, and also, I've talked with him long enough to think that he thinks he's got a good reason for slashing people.
Who'd you say this was?
Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
You sober?
Yes.
Where does this Bennett guy live?
Well, he used to live where I'm calling from now, but I don't think he'll be back here.
Okay, Stone, thanks for the tip-off. We'll get an all points out on him right away. Shouldn't be hard to pick him up.
After that, I jumped into my car and headed for the Blue Marlin to have another interview with Honey Kane, alias Selma Vasic. The neons were out when I got there, but a grizzly old man with a red face was mopping the floor.
Everybody's gone home, mister. Open again 5 tomorrow afternoon. Come back then. Really be twirling then.
Look, Pop, I'm trying to get a hold of one of the girls in the show.
Who isn't? And who you calling Pop?
All right.
If I could land something better than mopping floors, I'd want to get a hold of one of them myself.
Oh, please. Look, her name is Honey Kane. Do you know her?
Sure. I do it up in my tails and haul out my Cadillac and take her out champagne drinking every night. Go on, beat it. I got my mopping to do.
Where can I find out where she lives? I've got to get in touch with her.
Try Julius. He knows those things.
Julius?
His stage manager. Real short, yellow-livered guy. He don't let me stand in the wings and watch the last show. Wouldn't hurt him nothing doing that.
Yeah. Where can I find him?
In the hobnob across the street. Being a big shot.
I found Julius across the street being a big shot. It was intermission for the little orchestra that was playing there, and he was standing behind the vibraharp playing lost chords. A bored bartender and a drunk passed out in an empty booth were his audience. Nobody looked up when I came in, most of all Julius, but he did answer me.
Yeah, I'm Julius.
I just came from the Blue Marlin. The janitor there said you could help me.
Yeah? He's a dirty old man.
I'm trying to locate one of the girls in your show.
A lot of people are, brother. Now, why don't you...
I went all through that with the janitor. I don't want to go through it with you. Now, my name is Stone. I'm a reporter. I'm on a story. I want to talk to Honey Kane. Do you have her address?
Yeah, Mr. Reporter on a story. I got her address. But I ain't handed it out to you. You talk too smart. You move too quick. And you're sort of a jerk. I just don't like you.
And I don't like you, mister. Well, I want that address, and I'm going to get it. How I get it's up to you.
Wait a minute.
Tell me where Honey Kane lives and make it fast.
All right. Let go of me. Got a book. Keep it on me all the time. I always know what you guys who go prancing around for dames want to know.
Come on, get it out.
I don't need to. I remember hers.
Yeah?
1312 Commodore, apartment 16C. Honey never gave me no tumble. You guys must be doing some good, huh? Yeah, she'll get around to me before long.
What guys?
You're the second one been around here asking for Honey tonight.
Who else was asking?
A wise guy just like you. Came in 15 minutes ago. He talked smart, too, and was sort of a jerk. But he wasn't with no newspaper. His name was Bennett.
Rick Bennett. Where's the phone? When Rick Bennett had run from his room with a knife in his hand, I didn't think he had any way of locating Selma Vasic, but I'd underestimated his ability to trace my steps. Maybe it was because he'd been looking for her such a long time he knew the ins and outs. Anyhow, he was on the right track and she was in danger. I phoned back to Central Division and told him the whole setup, and then I went over to the address Julius gave me. Her room was in the back on the 3rd floor. 2 uniformed policemen were already there inspecting the ripped bedspread and the slashed furniture. Selma was nowhere in sight.
Oh, I'm Sergeant Knight. You're the guy who phoned in about this?
Yeah, that's right.
If he's on foot, he ought to be somewhere around the neighborhood.
Now, what do you figure?
Came up here, took her with him, maybe. I don't know. You can never tell what this kind will do until they do it. We need a description on her. Can you fill it in?
Well, about 5'4", dyed blonde hair, 100 pounds, 25, maybe.
Anything else?
Yeah, she might be wearing a slash like all her pictures.
Where can I get those?
Rick Bennett's rooming house. Here's the address.
Charlie.
Yeah, Tom.
You better hop to this address and pick up some pictures of the girl. And get out a pickup on her as soon as you have a good description.
Right. See you.
Okay, Stone. Thanks. We'll give you a buzz when we pick him up. Or her up, or something. You'll want the story.
Yes, I'll want the story, Sergeant. I suppose I wanted the story. I don't know how I felt. Maybe I was seeing things like Slasher found. Art student revenges himself on prodigal sweetheart. It wasn't a story for the papers. It was a case history for a psychologist, something that had come under chromatic shock and the byproduct of sadism. It was 4:30 in the morning, and I didn't like the story or the night or the people, so I went home to my own apartment to get away from everything.
Hello, Mr. Stone. I didn't know where else to go.
I didn't get away from anything. It was Selma Vasic, without makeup, without coat, and without hope. She looked pretty well shaken. How did you get in here?
I called the paper and told them I had a story for you. They gave me your address. Then I woke the manager and told him I was your sister.
Sister, huh? That's a good one.
Yeah, I know I don't look like anybody's sister. But I had to come somewhere. Why did you tell Rick where I was?
I didn't tell him. I don't know how he found out.
I was just coming up the stairs to my place when I saw him on the landing. I turned around and came here. Let me stay here for a while, then I'll go away.
He's out looking for him.
And I'm scared of him. I'm scared to death.
Well, you ought to be scared. Right down to your double-dealing roots, you ought to be scared. The boy loved you once with everything he had and every way he could. Look what you made him. Look what you did to him.
I know it.
Yeah, all because of you. He was probably a nice kid once with nice, normal, warm feelings. Now they might have to shoot him down before they bring him in. If they get him without that, he'll have to be trotted off to the state institution to see if they can pin him back together again. What did you come here for?
I came here because you're the only man. The only man who's ever talked nice to me since Rick. I guess I better go.
No, stay. I'll phone the police and tell them you're safe. You can't go out now. There's a chance you'd run into him before they pick him up.
Thanks, Mr. Stone. Thanks.
Sure. You want a drink?
No, thanks.
Well, I do.
Stone!
It's Ricky.
Oh,
Let me in! Let me in, Stone! Let me
Look,
in!
there's a
I'll be
phone.
right
There's a phone in the next room. Dial O. Talk low. Tell the police.
He'll kill me.
Stay in that room. Lock the door. Keep quiet. Go on.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, just a minute. Oh, hello, Rick. Now, you've had a big night.
Where is she, Stone? Where's Selma?
I thought you went out looking for her.
I did, and believe it or not, I found out where she works and where she lives, but she isn't at any of those places.
Oh, that's too bad. Have a drink.
Listen to me, wise guy. You phoned her or warned her that I was after her, and you know where she's hiding. Now, tell me. Tell me where she is, Stone, or I'll carve you up.
The same knife I'd seen him grab from the table in his room was still in his hand. This time it looked about 3 feet long and several shades shinier. He held it waist level, cupped in his right hand, and he walked toward me. I didn't know whether to take a chance and try to get at him or stand my ground and try to argue him out of it. Either way, he was a madman. He had a knife, and he looked like he was going to use it.
Ricky, stop it.
What? Selma.
I'm the one you want, not Mr. Stone. He's never done anything to you. I'm the one who's hurt you.
Selma, use your head.
You shut up, Stone. She's right. Come here, Selma. You changed. Your eyes are tired. You're different.
Yeah,
You're
Ricky.
different.
Yeah, I'm different.
But you're still you. I used to love you, Selma. Now I hate the sight of your pretty face. Pretty face.
Pretty face, do you call this pretty?
Yeah. It's still pretty enough.
Stop it, both of you.
Let him go, Mr. Stone. I deserve it. Well, Ricky?
Yeah. You deserve it, Selma, and you...
Well, go ahead, Ricky. There's nothing anyhow. Nothing.
I can't, Selma. I can't do it. I've looked for you all this time. I've wanted you so much. And hated you so much for the thing you did to me. I can't, Selma. I still love you.
Well, that did it. I've run into some weird ones in my time, but this was the topper. I put in a call to police headquarters. The same people answered.
Central Division, Sergeant Friends.
Sergeant, Randy Stone again. I got your boy for you. He's in my apartment. The address is...
We're drunk.
What? Hey, what is this?
We picked up the slasher a half hour ago. And, brother, your description. He's blonde, short, wore a light suit, and drove a tan convertible. Sleep it off, Stone.
But I tell you, I got him right here. He almost slashed...
Almost. Yeah. We caught our guy doing a job.
But...
Sleep it off, Stone. Good night.
Yeah, that's how mistakes almost happen. But that isn't all. A psychiatrist examined Rick Bennett. He prescribed love, affection, honesty, and rest. He said it might take a long time. And Selma Bassick said she didn't have anything to do for the next 50 or 60 years. So the last I saw of the two of them, they were looking around for a preacher. Me, I looked around for a moral. I hate to say it, but I can't think of anything else. A definition of love. Love is so close to hate, and hate is so close to love, that if you find yourself hating someone you love, you're liable to love someone you hate. That makes sense? Love never does, people. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced, edited, and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's story was written by E. Jack Newman and John Michael Hayes, with music by Frank Worth. The part of Rick Bennett was played by Jeff Corey. Selma was Joan Banks. Others in tonight's cast were Sid Miller, Nestor Paiva, Jerry Hausner, and Lou Krugman. Frank Lovejoy can currently be seen in the Warner Brothers picture Breakthrough, co-starring with David Bryan and John Agar. Night Beat came to you from Hollywood.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank Lovejoy. Tonight ends our present cycle of Night Beat. In the very near future, we're hoping to be back on the air with a new series. Would you watch your local paper for the time and date? And meanwhile, if you've enjoyed our stories as much as we've enjoyed bringing them to you, perhaps we'll hear from you. Until then, good night.
Enjoy the very best in radio. Be sure that you're dialing right. Seems like the very best in radio. Morning, noon, and night is from this station. Morning, noon, and night, NBC.
Join Steve Mitchell on another dangerous assignment tonight on NBC.
Waterfront. Kegel calling.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Lou Kegel, ace New York detective, fighter of crime on the waterfront.
Last Friday, the Metropolitan Art Museum requested headquarters to furnish someone who'd like to take a short boat ride. Seems a few of their highly valued paintings were slated to be put on exhibition at a kind of international go-to being held down in Bermuda, and they wanted a man to come on along and see that nothing happened to the stuff. So I went to Bermuda. And it's a pretty little island. I liked it. No, there wasn't much to do. Played some golf. Got into the water once or twice. Anyway, last night ended the convention, vacation or whatever, and this morning I checked aboard the Promethean for the return trip to New York. We're out of port about an hour when a steward knocks on my door, says, Captain Archer presents his compliments and would like to see me in his cabin at my very earliest convenience, which means pronto. So I go right down.
Lieutenant Kegel, I'll come straight to the point. As master of this ship, I'm directly responsible for the safety of my passengers. Well, this morning, one of them, a young lady, appealed to me for protection.
Against what?
Kidnapping.
On a ship?
Almost my exact words. But here's the difficulty. The young lady is not just any young lady. She's Helena Dawson.
Well, happy Easter.
The name doesn't do anything for you? Dawson? Oyster Bay?
Oh, wait a minute. The soap ships.
And the oil wells.
Sure. I see what you mean.
Exactly. So in view of that, and now I'm thinking as an employee of the line, to ignore the appeal would be unwise.
But crank stuff, huh?
I wish I could be certain.
You think she isn't a crank?
This girl's not a run-of-the-mill heiress. In fact, she may never get a penny from her family.
What's the problem there?
About 8 or 9 years ago, she broke with them.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I'm getting it back. Wasn't she the girl who walked out the night of her debut?
And left the country. That's the one.
Oh, Helena Dawson. Sure, I remember now. That was big stuff. What happened to her?
She came to Bermuda and took a job as a teacher. From what I can gather, she's been on her own ever since.
Well, now tell me how the kidnapping scare works in.
Yes. Well, she says it started 2 weeks ago in Bermuda when an anonymous phone call came. Seems a man at the other end of the line instructed her to leave $10,000 at a designated spot within the next 5 days or she'd be kidnapped. She ignored the threat. A week later, it was repeated.
Well, what did the police have to say about it?
Miss Dawson didn't report it to them.
Well, that was bright.
Afraid of publicity, I'd imagine.
Whereas if the kidnapping went through, she wouldn't get any, I suppose.
Perhaps she'd made arrangements to have it done quietly, Lieutenant.
Oh, don't they kill you? What happened then?
Well, even though she didn't take the authorities into her confidence, she had good sense enough to be frightened. That's why she's on this ship.
Well, how do you mean?
Miss Dawson felt that if she left Bermuda for a while, whoever was behind the kidnap threats would think she'd done so on the advice of the police and be scared off.
Yeah, but wait a minute. If the Dawson girl is at such pains to keep her problem quiet, why does she suddenly dump it in your lap?
I'm coming to that. Less than 30 minutes ago, she found this note in her vanity case. She swears it wasn't there when we sailed.
Huh. The price remains the same, but now it's pay up or else you won't leave this boat alive. Well, what's this about a white scarf?
Oh. Well, according to Miss Dawson, that was originally mentioned in the second threat she received by phone in Bermuda. The man told her to appear at a certain time in the Hamilton post office wearing a white scarf if she was ready to accept his terms. That would be the sign.
Movies. Everybody goes to the movies. Now he wants her to wear it in the ship's salon tonight, any time between 10 and 12.
Yeah? Well, what do you make of it, Lieutenant?
You asking me to come into this?
I'd be very grateful. So would Miss Dawson. She and I went over the list very carefully, and you're the only passenger experienced in police work we could find.
What about your own men?
Oh, the old thing. Everyone will know something is up, and that's what she's trying to avoid.
Garbo.
Huh? What's that?
You sure her name isn't Garbo?
Certain. Well, Lieutenant?
Okay, where do I find her?
Stateroom 1270. I'll phone down and tell her you're coming.
Either I hadn't been listening, or else Captain Archer had purposely avoided describing Miss Dawson, because for some reason or other it gets stuck in my head that she's mostly on the plain side. After all, who but a crow would pick the night of her coming out party to leave town? I keep on like this all the way down to her stateroom, and by the time she opens the door, I'm prepared for anything from Tugboat Annie to the Medusa.
Good morning.
Is this 1270 stateroom?
You're Lieutenant Cagle.
Yes. Is Miss Dawson expecting me?
I'm Miss Dawson. Won't you come in?
Well, thanks. I'm Lieutenant Cagle.
Captain Archer phoned to say that you'd take the case. I don't know what the usual fee for that
No. That's a private detective. This comes out of your taxes. I'm on the New York force.
Oh, but surely no one expects you.
I'm not on vacation. Forget it. So let's talk about the note you received. Look, are you sure it couldn't have been put in your vanity case before you came aboard?
Absolutely. You see, as soon as my luggage was brought here to the stateroom, I opened the case for a new lipstick. If the note were there, I couldn't have missed it.
Is that the case, the small alligator job?
Yes.
Well, then what?
I closed the vanity, although I didn't lock it, and left the stateroom. I wanted to watch us cast off. But up on deck, it was so crowded, I decided instead to go to the dining room and have some coffee. That was equally crowded, so I came back here and began unpacking. It was then that I found the note.
You've gone about 15 minutes.
No less. 10.
Mm-hmm. You know anyone on board?
Yeah, 3 people. Or rather 2. Dr. Reed and his nurse, Miss Garber. Their patient, Mrs. Pritchett, is barely an acquaintance.
Is Reed's stateroom far from here?
Just on the companionway. But before you say anything, Dr. Reed's out of the question. If during my 8 years in Bermuda I made one friend, it would be he.
Mm-hmm.
The man was my doctor, father, counselor, just everything.
Dr. Reed knows you're on the ship.
Oh, it was arranged that way. You see, about a month ago, Mrs. Pritchett, the patient I mentioned, lost her husband. The poor woman's been an invalid herself for years, confined to a wheelchair most of the time, eyesight failing. Well, she's over 80.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Reed suggested that since she had no living relatives in Bermuda to look after her, she needs almost constant attention. It would be advisable to return to America and take up residence with her daughter's family.
I see.
Mrs. Pritchett agreed to do it, but only if Dr. Reed would see her safely there.
You tell Reed about the phone calls you got?
Oh, no. When I found he was taking this ship, I simply pretended the idea of a visit to New York sounded interesting, and would he consider it an imposition if I tagged along?
Okay. You've got no idea who might be behind this extortion thing?
None.
Well, what do you want to do about it?
I want protection, of course. Someone has threatened to kill me unless
Sure. Protection's all right, and you'll get that, but that's not the whole story. You got to take a stand. You want to play along and smoke this bird out? Ignore him? Pay him off? Which is it?
I certainly don't intend to pay him a cent. As for smoking him out, I hardly think he's worth the effort. Do you?
Okay, you decide what to do.
Well, simply this. We arrive in New York within 48 hours, and if during that time you'll protect me, with as little ceremony as possible, from whomever wrote that note, be he public enemy or pickpocket, I won't ask for anything else.
You mean just hang around in the background like a bouncer?
Or in the foreground, like a traveling companion. I'm an easy person to get along with.
Well, when does it start?
Right now, I guess.
Maybe the dining room's not so crowded now. Helena.
If it isn't, would you join me for a cup of coffee?
Lou?
Lou?
Delighted. I'd be delighted. The coffee takes about an hour. A very pleasant hour, by the way, and then Helena marches me into the lounge where we spend the morning playing Russian Bank. During lunch, I ask if she'd mind my looking up Dr. Reed. Helena decides he may as well know what's going on now, since I'll have to be explained to him sooner or later anyway, so when the meal's over, I excuse myself and walk down to his stateroom. He's a very strange-looking guy, this Reed, man about 60, with a head like a bowling ball. Skin the color of an apple that's been bit into and left to stand for a while. I bring him up to date on what's happened, why I'm involved, and then he makes what you might think is a perfectly innocent statement.
I lay the entire scheme at the feet of some ill-informed crank. $10,000. Helena doesn't have near that amount.
Except that I didn't tell him the note demanded $10,000. I simply said a lot of money. Of course, you might have figured if folks could raise it without much effort.
I shouldn't wonder. What steps are you taking, Lieutenant?
None. Miss Dawson doesn't want me to.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. That's Miss Barber. Come in. Miss Barber, this is Lieutenant Cagle of the New York Police Department.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Doctor, Mrs. Pritchett's coming around. I thought
Of course. Be along presently. You'll pardon me, Lieutenant. I dislike breaking off our conversation so abruptly, but my patient...
Forget it. We can talk about this later.
As you see, my time is restricted, but if in any way I can help or counsel you, I'd be only too glad. For years, Helena has been like a daughter to me.
Yeah, that's what she said. Reed certainly put his foot in that one. I just hope the look on my face didn't give it back to him. $10,000, huh? He's probably been thinking $10,000 so much he can't even keep it out of his conversation. Normally, at this point in any other case, I'd be telling myself what a hot rock Lou Cagle is when it comes to fast solutions. But now I had a problem in my hands. How was I going to tell Helena? After all, it's kind of a blow to find out the person who's supposed to be your closest friend is trying to shake you down for $10,000. So, for the rest of the afternoon, every time the subject comes up, I move her along to a new one. After dinner, we kill most of the evening sitting around the ship's salon, and by 11 p.m., when they close, I've decided I can't put it off any longer. Helena says she'd like a cigarette before turning in, so we step outside and we stroll up the promenade deck.
Just right.
I'll bet it's snowing in New York.
Lou, look.
What?
A falling star.
Yeah? Oh. That's pretty, huh? Did you make a wish?
Huh?
Helena, how long have you known Dr. Reed?
More than 7 years. Why?
Oh, I was wondering where he practiced before he came to Bermuda.
No place. He's a native of the island.
Reed was born there?
Lou, are you cross-examining me?
Sorry. It's an occupational disease.
Oh, I met Dr. Reed in 1941, the winter. He nursed me through a case of the grip. And then when I got well and tried to pay him, he wouldn't take the money.
How come?
He knew how much a school teacher made.
Pretty rough, huh?
How did he taste so simple? $1,650 a year.
Which, I imagine, went for cigarettes.
I lived on it. What's more, in 2 years, I'd saved enough to buy a second-hand car that I used to go around.
Helena, look out. Get down. Don't move. Hug the wall. It came from up on the boat deck.
What?
Stay here.
Where are you
The
going?
boat deck. Hug that wall and don't move. I'll be back in a minute. It was Reed. As he raised the gun, I'd caught a shadow in the hatchway above us. Ahead, like a bowling ball, you couldn't miss it. I creep up the stairs fast, about 2/3 of the way, then flatten down and heist myself forward till the deck spreads out just level with my eyes. It's deserted. And a little bit too quiet. Plus, that if the moon were any brighter, it'd blind me. I'm almost convinced there isn't a way in the world to get on that deck without being seen when I notice something. Stretched along the rail on my right are half a dozen lifeboats. And whenever the ship lists or rises out of a trough, the prow of the lifeboat nearest me throws up a shadow over the mouth of my hatchway. It lasts maybe 4 seconds, which is time enough to crawl to the rail and get down out of sight behind one of those boats if I'm quick. I haven't more than made up my mind to try it when the ship trembles again, dips to one side, hangs there a second, starts back, and now the lifeboat begins to spill its shadow across the hatchway. I hold off until I'm sure the shadow's almost as long as it's going to get, and then, with all the force I can, I throw myself toward the lifeboat. It's a typical jerk trick. I'm trying to rush up a 30-degree slope with everything else on board pulling the other way. Nijinsky at the top of his leap. If I were trying to get shot, I couldn't do a better job. But I finally do stop teetering back and forth and stumble behind the lifeboat, and by then it's pretty clear that Dr. Reed has either gone to bed or put away his gun for the evening. A minute or so goes by while I catch my breath, and then suddenly I hear the sound of voices floating up from the deck below me. And one of them's Helena's. But it's not till I crawl over to the hatchway that I find out who the other belongs to.
I had to do the thing at this time. Furthermore, if I didn't come close, it wouldn't have looked authentic. Kegel's no fool.
You idiot. They were inches from hitting us. What are you trying
Don't
to do?
excite yourself. It's over. You're unharmed.
I'm surprised you're alive.
Forget that precious neck of yours and keep your mind on the job. Will you do that for once? I'll be going now. Wouldn't do for him to find me here.
No, it wouldn't.
Call me in the morning. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
It seems like 10 years before I get to my feet and walk down the deck from that hatchway. I don't know. Everyone's in on this but me. But in on what? That question comes back again because Helena and Reed obviously have some brand new racket going, but like every other question of the jackpot variety, I can't answer it. Nor can I see how they expect to make any money by such monkey shines. Unless, of course, Helena's helping the doc shake a few thousand out of her old man by means of a phony extortion plot. Which reminds me that Helena's still waiting at the foot of the hatchway, or at least I think she is. But when I get down there, nobody's around. Back in my stateroom, I find a note slipped under the door in which she explains how terrifying it all was and that she couldn't bear another minute alone out in the dark and please call her first thing in the morning. Looks like first thing in the morning is everybody's favorite time for contacting Kegel because about 7:15 along comes a steward with some more of Captain Archer's compliments and an invitation to eat breakfast with him in his cabin.
Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning, Captain.
I get you up?
Uh-huh.
I like your eggs. Fried, dropped, or...
No. Coffee. Just some coffee, please.
Very well. Mr. Dawson found any more threatening letters in her baggage?
Well, not that I know of. No cream, thanks.
All right. Here you are.
We, did get some action last night.
Hmm?
Gentleman who'd been hiding up on the boat deck fired 2 shots at us.
Fired 2... Kegel.
It's okay. It didn't hurt anybody. It didn't intend to.
But, man, in heaven's name, you should report it immediately.
If I didn't know who he was, I would have.
Well,
Now, look, Captain, you've got to go along with me on this. Take my word, he won't try it again. Also, please don't ask me who he is. The extortion notes are a blind for his real activity. And if he once guesses we're even half onto him, you'll never see the bottom of this case.
Kegel, this is most irregular. As captain of the ship,
I know. You're responsible for the safety of your passengers, and that's exactly why things have to be kept quiet. Unless we really hustle, this bird might slide through without having a glove laid on him. As it stands now, I can't guess what he's up to, but I'll bet it's illegal.
Yes.
What time do we dock tomorrow?
10 in the morning, New York time.
Mm-hmm.
Not use my planning any further with tonight's dinner, I suppose.
Dinner?
Just a little thing. Last night out, stretching a custom. Thought perhaps you, Miss Dawson, possibly that doctor friend of hers might join me.
That sounds fine. Why call it off?
Well, view of all the tension.
There isn't any tension.
Huh?
Or at least, Captain, we shouldn't show it. I think your party's a good idea.
For a fact?
Sure. If you want me to, I'll issue the invitation.
Good. Grand. I wish you would. 8 o'clock this evening, my table. Come early. We'll have some cocktails.
After leaving Captain Archer's cabin, I start down to the dining room when suddenly I remember that part in Helena's note about calling her first thing in the morning. I'm anxious to get moving anyhow, so even though it's pretty early, I go down and knock on her stateroom door.
Oh, Lou. Come on inside.
How'd you sleep?
It's not very funny.
Well, I didn't mean it to be.
I'm sorry. It's just that all night I kept seeing her.
Don't apologize. You've got good reason to be jumpy.
Who was it? Did you see anyone find anything out?
Whoever shot at us was off the deck before I got up there.
Lou, what am I going to do? I'm afraid to leave the room. I'm afraid to stay in it.
Come on now. Get a hold of yourself. It's broad daylight.
No, it won't be broad daylight forever, Lou.
Have you had your breakfast yet?
What?
Breakfast. What's the matter? Aren't you hungry?
Oh, no.
Oh, you can't worry on an empty stomach. Come on. It was a good act, all around. And by the time we finish our grapefruit juice, Helena's appetite and confidence are on the upswing. And 20 minutes later, when we get up from the table, nothing will do but a stroll on deck. Well, more like it, huh?
A lot more.
You know, that's the first pancake I've had in years.
You mean the first half dozen?
Say, isn't that Dr. Reed way down there?
Where?
Near the lady in the wheelchair. No, out from the rail.
Oh. Why, yes, it is.
She the Mrs. Pritchard who's so sick?
Uh-huh. It's odd, Miss Barbara. The nurse doesn't seem to be around.
Somebody's sitting on the other side of the wheelchair.
Oh, that's she. I couldn't see her at first. Oh, Lou, before we get up to them, don't say anything about last night, will you?
Okay. All bundled up, isn't she?
Who?
The old lady. You can hardly see her face. What's the matter? They afraid she'll catch a cold?
That, she already has one. Good morning, Doctor.
Helena, good morning. Morning, Lieutenant.
Dr. Reed, Miss Barber.
Good morning, sir. Morning, Miss Dawson.
Would you mind awfully if we continued our conversation a few feet away from my patient? She's had a very bad night. Just now dropped off, and the slightest sound.
No.
Of course, we understand.
Poor woman. I'm coming to regret ever having advised the trip. This'll do. We're far enough.
What's wrong with her?
Just now? A resurgent allergy, and she has dozens of them. I thought getting out of that stuffy cabin for a bit might help.
It put her to sleep. That's something.
Yes, I expect so. What about you, Helena?
Nothing new.
Doesn't surprise me. Crank notes. I'll wager the lieutenant's seen scads of them.
A couple. By the way, we 3 are invited out for dinner tonight. Captain Archer. Everyone accept?
I'd love it.
That's 2 of us. How about you, Doctor?
Absolutely.
Excuse me, Doctor. Your patient seems...
Thank you. Miss Barber, she's getting restless. Take her below, will you?
Yes, Doctor. I didn't notice.
And here, give her a few sniffs of this menthol inhaler before she drops off again.
Certainly. Thank you. Now, here we are. Just breathe in deeply. Deeply. That's the spirit. She's quieting down.
Fine. You'd best go back to the stateroom. I'll be with you directly. Can you forgive me? About this evening, tell Captain Archer I'll make every effort, but please explain the situation to him.
Oh, of course we will.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Lieutenant.
Doctor,
Yes?
you dropped something.
I?
Your fountain pen. Here.
Why, so I did. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thanks very much.
At last, there's something. Maybe only half of something, but anyhow enough to move ahead with. It's late afternoon before I shake Helena long enough to start the machinery for cablegram to the Chief of Police, Hamilton, Bermuda. And I'm still waiting for an answer at 7:15 when Captain Archer's farewell dinner party gets underway. Dr. Reed managed to come after all, a break I intend to take advantage of, but quick. On the third martini, he begins to lose that alert look of his, so I push back my chair, mutter a few excuses, and start out of the dining room. Crossing the mezzanine, I take a peek over my shoulder to see if the sudden exit provoked any comment from Reed or Helena. Well, apparently not. Both of them are having a big yuck over one of Captain Archer's 10-minute jokes, and he's getting ready to tell another, so it looks okay. 2 minutes later, I'm standing in front of the door to Reed's stateroom, fingering a skeleton key. There's only one thing. The adjoining room, the one occupied by Miss Barber and the old lady, is connected to his by a door that may or may not be open. If it is, I'm a gone dog, but since I've come this far... Still in business. The door to Miss Barber's room is closed. There's a blade of light coming from under it, though, so I have to make with the pussy feet. Now, where to begin? Reed's desk is the obvious place, but it's at the other end of the room, therefore out comes the pocket flashlight. Which is a Lulu. It throws a beam all the length of a pop bottle. Somehow I pick my way over to the desk, kneel down, and start easing the bottom drawer open. Pencils, cablegram blanks. The one above it doesn't even have the pencils. Now, here's the department. Stethoscope, thermometers. What's this? Uh-huh. Home is the sailor. Uh-oh, and that's from the corridor. Well, anyway, it's not Reed. He wouldn't knock at his own door. I barely snap off the flash and duck behind a chair when... It's Helena. She just stands there, peering through the half-open door into the darkness, listening. And then, as unexpectedly as she arrived, she's gone again. But not, I may as well face it, not before convincing herself that room was not empty. And since that puts everyone onto everyone, I'm afraid by the time I patch all this stuff together, Reed will have shot up half the boat. Well, at least I found what I came after. On my way back to the dining room, a steward hands me a cablegram, the reply from Bermuda, and it reads, according to best reports, Miss Helena Dawson checked aboard the liner Promethean yesterday morning, bound for New York City, signed so-and-so, so-and-so, Chief of Police Hamilton. It's the Promethean I'm on, so everything still gels. When I come up to the table, Captain Archer and Dr. Reed are in the middle of a long discussion on whether many seafaring men still suffer from malnutrition. But not Helena.
Well, Lou, we missed you. Where have you been?
Well, now, that's an unfair question. In the first place...
Lieutenant,
Huh?
you know something about this. I've been trying to explain to Dr. Reed here that feeding a crew of 40 or...
And that's how it goes for the rest of the evening, back and forth. Helena working to pry me loose from anything she can. Captain Archer and Reed dragging me in to settle every argument they have. Around 10 o'clock, though, the wind begins to shift. Helena's managed to get it across to the doctor that there's something fishy about me. And the way the party breaks up would make your head swim.
Surely you'll have a nightcap, Doctor.
Thank you, no, Captain. I just had mine. We early risers, you know.
Miss Dawson, Lieutenant?
I don't believe so, thank you.
Not at all. My
Very
pleasure.
fine.
Anyway, I hope you come to see me before we dock tomorrow.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Please drop in and say goodbye.
We'll do that, night, Captain.
Good night.
Good night, Captain.
Miss Dawson?
Thank you for everything, Captain. It was lovely.
Reed and I see Helena to her stateroom, and then we split up. By now, it's become a button thing. They know that I know, but they don't know I know that they know. Which is involved, but I can't lay it out for you any better. Back in my own room, I start getting things ready for what I'm sure is going to happen within the next 10 minutes. First of all, my bed. After I shut off the light, I rumple it up, jam the 2 pillows under the covers, and start shaping them to look like somebody lying there. No matter how I do it, they still come off like 2 pillows, but maybe in the dark it'll hold. Then I swing open one of the portholes that faces on deck and squat down directly below it. And for once in my life, I've called a turn. The square foot of rug under me isn't even warm when I hear somebody approaching on the deck outside. I count a slow 20 before I edge over and pick up the phone. Now, maybe this sounds porky, but if a ballistics expert can't turn the 3 slugs he'll dig out of my mattress into an attempted murder charge, I'll hand in my badge.
Operator.
Connect me with Miss Dawson's stateroom, will you? 1270.
One moment, please.
I thought those footsteps sounded just a little bit too dainty to be Dr. Reed's.
Sorry, the party doesn't answer, sir.
That's okay. Put me through to Captain Archer's cabin, will you?
One moment, please.
Hello? Captain Archer?
Yes?
Lieutenant Cagle. We're about to go to work. Strap on your pistol.
You've got the man who shot at you last night?
I've got his number anyway. How soon can you round up a couple of men and come to stateroom 1265?
That's your place?
No, it's his.
Why, right away. Immediately.
Fine. I'll be inside when you get there, so don't bother to knock. I hang up, look down at the luminous dial on my wristwatch, and follow that second hand around for a full turn. Then I step out into the corridor and start to walk. Halfway to Reed's stateroom, a wrong thing begins growing up inside of me. Anger. Anger at the pretty face I went soft on that wound up trying to dish me a shroud. But an angry cop's no good to himself, so I work to shake it off. And I'm still working when the door to stateroom 1265 appears in front of me, and behind the door I hear voices. Reed and Helena. Hello.
Hello!
You missed.
Cagle, what's the meaning?
It's a shame to miss like that, isn't it, Helena? When you're so close, when you planned it so well.
Lieutenant, you're drunk. What do you mean barging in here?
You'll tell me before I leave. You'll tell me what's behind everything.
Please, if there's something you
Your
want to
face
know,
is
why
too
don't you-
straight. You bet there's something. 3 shots and all into the bedclothes. Some waste.
What are you talking about?
Here. A gun like this one. That's what I'm talking about. And if we all don't get down to some plain talk pretty soon,
Lieutenant Cagle, you completely out of your head.
In the name of heaven, Archer, have your men take this man.
Don't you know who these people are?
No, I don't, Captain, and the same goes for you.
Hey, I came down here in good faith. I won't be made a laughing stock.
That's right, you won't. I've got enough in this crowd to put them away for a long time.
I warn you, Captain Archer, this drunken idiot.
And as you'll quiet down, I'll tell you what it is.
All right, Lieutenant. Speak up, and it had better be good.
If there aren't any objections...
This is preposterous.
Do I finish, Captain?
Go on.
The man who fired those 2 shots at Miss Dawson and me last night was Dr. Reed.
Is that quite enough to convince you, Captain?
No,
of this
I
man?
can't prove it. It's my word against his. But I did tell you this morning that I knew the man. Isn't that right?
Lieutenant,
And I said he meant to miss us, didn't I?
So you did,
Have you noticed how quiet it's gotten around here all of a sudden?
Well, in the first place, Dr. Reed and I have been friends for 8 years.
You said
I
7
don't-
years last night. You were friends in Bermuda, too. Wasn't that the story? All right, then tell me, how is it someone who's lived all that time on an island where they don't allow automobiles finds one to buy secondhand? And while I'm on you, where's the gun with the silencer you tried to use on me 10 minutes ago?
Gun?
After all, Lieutenant...
After plenty, Captain, you take a look at my mattress. It's got 3 bullet holes in it. And Helena put them there. No, I can't prove it.
Well, then, Lieutenant, just what can you prove?
Where's your patient?
Mrs. Pritchett? Captain Archer, this is the very
Next
last...
door in the wheelchair?
Lieutenant, I failed
Would
to
you
see
mind bringing her in?
I most certainly would. I appeal to you, Captain.
Yes, we've heard all this. She's over 80, eyesight failing, weak heart.
Lieutenant, if that's the case...
It's not the case, Captain. She isn't 30. Her eyesight's fine, and if there's anything wrong with her heart, you can blame these 2.
Oh, Lou, what's come over you
Captain, will you
tonight?
ask one of your men to open that door?
Cagle, who is it you expect to find in there?
Look, you see this inhaler? It looks like the regulation menthol variety that people use for colds, doesn't it? Yeah. I took it from Reed's desk tonight. Here, smell it.
Menthol? Why, that...
Right, it's chloroform. He's been using it consistently on this woman that he calls Mrs. Pritchett for at least 38 hours. Now will you get that door open?
Reynolds, open it up.
Wheel her in, Miss Barber. The game's over. There you are. Look at her. Even with the gray wig and the makeup job, there's not much doubt, is there, Captain?
But who is she?
Wake her up. She'll tell you.
Captain, if you allow a hand to be laid on that woman, you'll...
Yesterday morning, a young lady who claimed to be Helena Dawson came to your cabin and asked for police protection, didn't she?
Why, of course.
And then you both scoured the passenger list to see who qualified for such a job. In other words, you helped her find out how many cops were on board. That's all she wanted. An accurate count of the opposition. Turned out there was just one, me, and what a break that was for them. If I could be kept busy chasing wild geese, Reed here would be able to wheel his patient right off the ship without even lowering his head.
But
Here's the way smart crooks work, Captain. An hour ago, the chief of police in Bermuda sent me a wire saying that Helena Dawson was on this ship. Which is just what everybody's been telling me. And if I hadn't smelled that chloroform on deck this morning, the investigation would have stopped right there. Well, the chief was right. She is on this ship, but not the way he thought. Helena Dawson was kidnapped, drugged, and brought aboard on a wheelchair. That wheelchair. And if you don't believe me, wake her up. She knows her own name.
Nurse, bring her in.
Captain Archer, I'm warning you the consequence for such an...
I'm prepared to accept them. Bring her too, nurse.
Where? Don't please. Nothing more.
Look, you're all right. It's okay now. Now listen. Listen to me. Who are you? What's your name? Your name. Your name. What is it?
I don't know. Helena Dawson.
Okay. Okay, Captain, there it is.
Sure enough, there it was. A couple of phony names and wrong guesses, and a cop, any cop, who happens to be standing downwind of your chloroform inhaler, and the next thing you know, everybody needs a lawyer. Even smart crooks.
Crime on the Waterfront is written by J.T. Kelly and stars Myron Wallace as Lou Cagle. Listen again next week to another Crime on the Waterfront. This is George Stone speaking.
Mystery is my hobby. Today's story began in New York shortly after Christmas. I'd received a phone call from an Ambrose Carlton, and had asked him to come to my apartment for a consultation. Yes? You are Barton Drake? Yes, and you're Ambrose Carlton. Will you come in, please?
Thank you. Oh, you have company. Mr. Drake, I ask especially...
Yes, I know. You asked especially to see me alone. However, if I decide to take your case, Inspector Danton would work with me. I thought it would save time and bother if I asked him to come to my apartment to listen to your story.
This, then, is Inspector Noel Danton, your co-worker?
That's right. And how are you, Mr. Carlton?
Good evening, Inspector. Well, Mr. Drake, have you given any thought to my proposition?
I have, and I'm in favor of it.
Splendid. And you, Mr. Drake?
Well, I share the inspector's enthusiasm for a trip south, and yet...
Yet you doubt the credulity of my story?
No, not at all. I don't for the moment question the value of your original paintings, or the fact that someone's trying to steal them.
Oh, Bart, why not forget for once that murder's your hobby? Let's go down to Florida and sit in the sun and watch the bathing beauties bathe.
Florida bathing beauties, Inspector. Never bathe.
Never bathe? Now, wait a minute,
I
Bart.
mean, of course, in the ocean, Inspector.
Oh. Mr. Drake, the man who is attempting to steal my paintings is Brian Quirk.
You're sure of that?
Brian Quirk? Hey, that is something. He's the most famous international cook out of captivity.
You're quite right, Inspector Danton. He would stop at nothing to obtain possession of my Rembrandts.
Now, what makes you so positive, Mr. Carlton, that it's Quirk who's attempting to steal your paintings?
Quirk himself has told me so.
Quirk told you so?
Yes. On several occasions, Brian Quirk has called me on the phone and stated flatly that he intends to possess my paintings.
Quirk is noted for that sort of thing. He's a shrewd operator.
3 days ago, Mr. Drake, one of my servants was murdered.
Murdered? Well, now you're talking our language. Shall I make our reservations back?
Just a minute, Inspector.
Huh?
Have you reported this murder to the police, Mr. Carlton?
Of course. They investigated and learned nothing except that Leopold was shot by a man who was attempting to steal the paintings.
How do you know that?
Leopold was not killed instantly. He lived long enough to explain that he had been attacked while on guard in the very room where the pictures are kept.
I see. And the police have been unable to uncover any clues that might lead to the identity of the murderer?
The identity of the murderer is already known, Mr. Drake. Ryan Quirk left his calling card. A note pinned to the floor with a dagger.
Say, I saw that gag work in the movies once. It was called The Clutching Hand or The Hooded Terror or something like that.
I assure you, this is no movie, Inspector Denton.
Oh.
So the police have abandoned any further attempts to run down Brian Quirk. Is that right, Mr. Carlton?
Well, I can't blame them. They did what they could. Obviously, this man Quirk is shrewd beyond human conception.
No man is that shrewd, Mr. Carlton. All criminals are possessed with at least one weakness. I imagine that weakness with Brian Quirk is his vanity. Eventually, it'll lead to his downfall.
Well, I hope you're right. Frankly, Quirk's attitude is something of a challenge. I dislike to think that he can outsmart me.
Yes, but on the other hand, you have your other servants to consider. If more murders result from Quirk's attempt to steal your paintings, you will feel personally responsible.
Mr. Drake, it will be worth $10,000 to me if you'll come to Florida and take over my case.
$10,000, that's a lot of dough, Bart.
Yes, it is, Inspector.
If at the end of a week's time you feel that apprehending Brian Quirk is beyond your ability, I will pay you the $10,000 and you may return to New York.
Hey, that's fair enough, Bart.
And what of your paintings, Mr. Carlton?
Well, I suppose I shall have to dispose of them. I can't continue to be responsible for the lives of the people in my employ.
Splendid. Inspector, make reservations on the first available plane to Miami.
Hey, Bart, for God's sake, can't you drive easier?
Sorry, Inspector. These swamp roads here in the Everglades weren't built for automobile travel.
Well, what were they built for? And what does Carlton have to live way out here in the jungle for anyway? And why didn't he meet us at the airport?
Inspector, I think you're annoyed because you didn't get a chance to watch the bathing beauties.
I'm not annoyed. I'm doggone sore about it.
Hey, Inspector, you're magnificent.
Yeah? Well, why didn't Carlton tell us he lived way to heck and gone out of here instead of in a nice, cool stucco bungalow on Miami Beach like any sensible man would?
I suspect that Mr. Carlton didn't want to discourage us, Inspector.
Discourage us? I've been discouraged ever since we stepped off that plane.
I guess this is it.
Well, for crying out loud. Look at that wall with the barbed wire on top.
Yes. And Mr. Carlton said he had his home protected against thieves. I guess this was what he meant. There's the house beyond the wall.
Yeah. You can barely make it out in this dim light. Listen. What's that?
It's the voice of the swamp, Inspector. Come on, let's go up and announce ourselves before it gets completely dark.
I don't know why Carlton couldn't have left that iron gate open so we could drive up to the house.
I imagine Brian Quirk was disappointed also, Inspector. The gate seems to be locked.
Yeah, there's a rope hanging through the slot. Shall I give it a yank?
Yes, it's probably a latch string.
Here goes. The jumping Judas, what's that?
Sounds like an alarm bell. Here comes someone.
Yeah, he came out of that little house. Hey, he's got a gun.
He's probably one of Mr. Carlton's guards. He's a regular giant, isn't he? Hello there.
The alarm bell she rings, and Carlo comes quick.
Yeah, well, shut it off. It's getting on my nerves.
Si, senor. You are senors Drake and Danton, si?
That's right. We're Drake and Danton. Mr. Carlton's expecting us.
Si. I will open the gate.
Thank you.
Be careful, senors. There are many traps about.
Traps? What does Carlton take us for, a couple of wolves?
The wolves are all over on Miami Beach, Inspector.
Very funny.
You will follow me, senors, please.
Hey, Bart, I don't like this.
What don't you like about it, Inspector?
It's spooky.
Oh?
Look at the way those vines are crawling over the house. And listen to those noises. They're not real.
Come, Inspector. Let's not allow our imagination to run away with us.
Hey, listen.
Yes, I hear it.
Now, don't tell me that's my imagination. That's organ music.
It certainly is, Inspector.
You will follow me, please.
Come on, Inspector.
Hey, there's someone coming from the house.
Yes. Oh, it's Mr. Carlton. Are you disappointed because it isn't a spook, Inspector?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Welcome to Hurricane Manor. I must express my regret at not being able to meet your plane.
You're not half as regretful as we are. Look, Mr. Carlton, why didn't you tell us you lived way out here in the swamp?
For the very reason that unhappy expression is on your face, Inspector Danton.
Unhappy? Me?
You're disappointed in my home. If I'd explained where I'd lived, you might have refused to accept my proposition.
The inspector's only disappointed, Mr. Carlton, because he was unable to see the bathing beauties of Miami Beach.
Oh, that will come later. Very well, Carlos. Return to your post.
Si, senor. I'm glad to get rid of that guy. He looks like a zombie.
Carlos is my most reliable servant. Come along, gentlemen. Dinner is waiting. And then I want you to see my paintings.
Well, I got to admit that your cook knows how to put together a meal, Mr. Carlton.
Thank you, Inspector. Jose will be pleased. Are there any questions you'd like to ask before we look at the paintings, Mr. Drake?
Yes, several. Just as a matter of curiosity, we heard organ music as we came up the wall.
That was Laura. She's my secretary.
Uh-huh.
She plays beautifully, doesn't she?
Yeah, but sad. What's the matter? Is she unhappy about something?
I'm afraid that the atmosphere of Hurricane Manor creates a sad mood, Inspector.
That I can understand.
Laura is very young and beautiful. She doesn't like it here, and I can't blame her.
Then why does she remain?
The answer to that is simple. I need a secretary. Laura needs money. And I can afford to pay her a large salary.
I see. I suppose that living in this remote section of the Everglades is part of your plan to frustrate Brian Quirk's attempt to steal your paintings.
That's exactly right, Mr. Drake. Frustrating Brian Quirk has become an obsession with me. I will stop at nothing to capture the man.
And Quirk will stop at nothing to obtain possession of your paintings.
Correct. It's become a sort of game with us.
I see. That's why you brought the paintings to this old house and challenged Brian Quirk to steal them.
Yes, and he will accept the challenge, too. This is to be the showdown between Brian Quirk and myself. Come along. I want you to see my paintings.
Look, Mr. Carlton, how many more of these halls have we got to walk down on getting tired?
Inspector Danton, you flatter me.
Flatter you? What do you mean? I only asked a simple question.
Yeah, but a very pointed question. Would you believe that this is the third time we walked down this same hall within the past 5 minutes?
Are you kidding?
Oh, not at all. Rooms and corridors are so arranged that a stranger can easily become lost. Walking you down this same hall 3 times was the test.
I suppose that's all part of your plan to confound Brian Quirk. Is that right, Mr. Carlton?
Exactly. And here's another.
What? That door? What's confounding about that?
I'll show you. Open the door, Inspector.
Huh? Open. Okay. Jumping Judas.
You see?
Well, that's very ingenious. I suppose all of the doors in the house are equally well equipped with burglar alarms.
Not only the doors, Mr. Drake, but the wire atop the wall that surrounds the place. And all of the windows.
With that kind of a setup, what are you scared of?
Brian Quirk succeeded in getting over the wall once, Inspector Danton. He murdered one of my servants. It was only because he touched off one of the alarms at the downstairs window that he failed to get inside the house.
Yeah, but...
The alarms on the windows ring bells all over the house and in the guardhouses. They also switch on automatic floodlights.
And still Quirk got away. The man is a genius.
There's one thing that puzzles me, Mr. Carlton. If all the doors in the house are equipped with alarms, why is it that they don't ring when you or someone else opens them?
Because of this. You see, it is possible to open the doors without touching off the alarm.
But your servants?
I alone know the combination. Whenever I wish the servants to move about the house, I temporarily disconnect the system. Except for the one in this room.
Oh, then it's here where your paintings are kept.
Yes. Step this way, please.
Thank you.
I'll turn on the lights. There they are, hanging on the wall.
By Jove, they are beautiful.
Not bad at that. Say, the guy who painted those things must be a comer, all right.
Rembrandt was the greatest master of them all, Inspector.
You're fortunate to have such valuable possessions, Mr. Carlton.
Well, I hope that the time will come when I can feel fortunate, Mr. Drake. Since I bought them a year ago, they've brought me nothing but grief.
I see what you mean. By the way, did you install the indirect lighting system that brings out the rich color tones?
Yes. You see, the wall paneling being dark, it was necessary...
Hey, what's that?
It sounded like a scream.
There it goes again.
Good heavens, it must be Laura. Good Lord, gentlemen. Brian Quirk has arrived.
This way. Scream came from the organ room.
Better get out the gun, Inspector.
Don't worry I got it out.
Here we are.
Jumping Judas, there's a girl lying on the floor.
Laura, I don't think she's hurt, Mr. Carlton. Probably fainted.
Yeah, she's breathing all right. Whoever fired the shot must have missed.
Lift up her head, Inspector.
Okay.
Mr. Carlton, I think you'd better get back to your paintings if Brian Quirk is...
George, you're right. What am I thinking of? Take care of Laura.
Turn off those goddamn alarm bells.
Careful, Inspector. Here, you'd better carry the girl over to this couch.
Yeah, good idea. I wonder what scared her.
Never mind that now. Put her down easily.
Yeah, putting her down easily. Well, thank gosh those bells have stopped.
The girl's eyes are opening, Inspector.
Yeah. Say, she is good looking, isn't she?
She's beautiful. Feeling better, Laura? You are Laura, aren't you?
Oh, where am I? What happened?
You're safe now. You'd better not try to get up just yet.
Just lie back and take it easy, lady.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Keep away from me.
Just a minute.
Don't touch me. Let me go.
Don't try to get up, Laura. You're still weak.
Let me up. Keep your hands off me. Oh, I hate you. I hate you all.
Okay, so you hate us now. Look.
Look out, Inspector. She has a gun.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. And I know how to use it, too. Now stand back, both of you.
Okay. We're not arguing.
Don't move. I'll shoot if you do. I promise you I will.
Never mind promising, lady. We'll take your word for it.
Well, Inspector, she's gone.
Yeah, shall we go after her?
I don't think it would help much even if we caught her.
No. If we found that one bullet had been fired from that gun she was holding, it would.
Why?
Why? Well, for Guy's sake, we'd know it was her who fired the shot, wouldn't we?
And how would that help us?
Well, we could ask her questions. Maybe she saw somebody. Maybe firing the shot was a gag.
I doubt if it were a gag, Inspector. Obviously, the girl had fainted, and just as obviously, she was frightened of us.
I'll say she was. I wonder why.
I think I know the answer to that one, Inspector. Come on, let's look around this room a bit.
You know the answer to that one. Hey, what the heck do you mean?
Here's the organ. It's a beauty, isn't it?
Now, wait a minute, Bart. I asked you a question.
These windows are all equipped with the burglar alarm system. The wiring is plainly visible up there.
Okay, the heck with the alarm system. What do you mean you can answer that one?
The windows are all bolted on the inside, Inspector. How do you suppose the person who frightened Laura got into the room?
Doggone it, Bart. Now,
Or perhaps it wasn't a person. What do you think, Inspector?
Bart, for the last time... What'd you say, Bart?
I said perhaps it wasn't a person who frightened Laura.
Huh? What do you mean, not a person? What else?
Spooks, Inspector. Remember you were worried about spooks a little while ago.
Mr. Drake! Inspector Danton! My paintings, they're gone! Someone has stolen my paintings! You must see for yourself. I can't believe my eyes. It's incredible. It simply cannot be. There. Look.
Those, they're gone all right.
Yep, they're gone. The walls as bare as Mother Hubbard's cupboard.
How could it have happened? How could it? Every door and window was protected with alarms. There were guards everywhere. When could it have happened?
I'm afraid the answer to that question is obvious, Mr. Carlton. It happened when we ran down the hall to investigate the shot and scream.
Say, that means that the babe must have been in on the deal. No wonder she acted so screwy.
That reasoning is ridiculous, Inspector Danton. Laura's characters are absolutely impeccable. I had her investigated.
And what about your other servants, Mr. Carlton?
They're all beyond reproach. Besides, there is one thing that both of you have overlooked in your reasoning.
Yes, what's that?
It would be foolish of any of the servants to steal the paintings. They're too rare, too valuable. If offered for sale, they would be spotted immediately.
Wouldn't the same theory hold true if Brian Quirk...
No. Quirk is a man of culture and taste. He wants the paintings for their own pleasure, not for their monetary value.
I see. Well, Mr. Carlton, I don't think you'll have to worry about the loss of your paintings.
I'd worry about them? What the deuce are you saying, man?
Just this. Quirk apparently got into your house, but not without setting off the alarm system. Could he get out without causing a similar disturbance?
By George.
Say, he couldn't, could he? That means that guy must be floating around here somewhere.
Exactly. Now, I propose that you spread the alarm, Mr. Carlton. And, Inspector, we conduct an immediate search of the grounds. A man with 2 large paintings in his arms would have little chance of escaping unnoticed.
Hey, Bart.
Yes, Inspector?
I thought we were going to hunt for Brian Quirk. Doggone it, all you've done since we got out here is to walk around peering into windows.
I'm not peering into windows,
No?
Inspector.
Well, then what are you doing?
I'm, checking the burglar alarms,
Checking
Inspector.
the burglar alarms. For God's sake, why? We know they work.
Well, there might be one that doesn't. Suppose one of Carlton's servants were in cahoots with Quirk. He might have disconnected the system on one of the windows.
Now, wait a minute, Bart. That isn't what you're doing.
It isn't? Why, Inspector?
Because we know that one of the servants didn't disconnect the system. How do we know it? Because the whole doggone system went off when Quirk entered the house.
You caught up with me that time, didn't you, Inspector?
Yeah, I caught up with you. Now, what the heck are you up to? What do you mean,
I found it.
Found what, for crying out loud?
I found the... Inspector.
Huh? What's the matter?
Someone's coming. Step back into the shadows.
Okay. Hey, it's the girl.
Yes. She looks more frightened than ever.
Yeah, look at the way she's sneaking along.
Mr. Drake. Mr. Drake.
She's calling you, Bart.
All right, Laura. Over here.
Oh, Mr. Drake, is that you?
Yeah, that's him and me, too.
Oh, thank heaven. I've been looking everywhere for you.
Now, there's one for the book. The last time we saw you, you couldn't get away fast enough.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah, we're sorry, too, but look, lady.
Inspector.
Huh?
What was it that you didn't know, Laura?
I didn't know who you were, not really.
Oh, you didn't? Well, how do you know now?
Well, I heard you and Mr. Carlton talking in the room where the paintings would...
Oh, eavesdropping, eh? Well...
Inspector, will you stop your prattling for a minute and let Laura talk?
Now, listen, Bart. Keep quiet. Huh?
So when you found out who we were, you came looking for us. Why, Laura?
Because... Oh, Mr. Drake, I'm frightened. I want to get away from here. I thought you might help me.
What were you frightened of, Laura?
I don't know. The very atmosphere of the place. There's something dreadfully wrong.
Yes, but something particular must have happened to make you afraid.
It did. 2 weeks ago, Leopold was murdered. And then tonight when I was playing the organ...
Yes? Exactly what happened when you were playing your organ?
I'm not sure exactly. I felt that someone was behind me, just standing there, and I was petrified. I didn't know what to do. So I kept on playing with one hand and tried to reach into my pocket for the gun that Mr. Carlton had given me. And just as I turned, the alarm started. I fired the gun and then I fainted.
But you didn't actually see anyone?
No. Oh, I don't know. There might have been someone. It was terrible.
Oh, you poor kid. Now, look, there's just one more question I'd like to ask, Laura.
Yes?
Why hadn't you given up your job and gone back to Miami before now?
I wanted to, but Mr. Carlton begged me to stay. He raised my salary and gave me the gun and showed me how to use it. He was awfully nice. He said that if another attempt were made to steal the paintings, he wouldn't try to hold me any longer.
Well, Laura, I think that after tonight, your troubles will be over. Inspector? Inspector!
Yeah, what do you want?
Well, what the deuce is the matter with you?
Oh, you mean I can speak now?
Do I mean you could... Inspector, you're magnificent. See here, both of you.
Yeah, what is it?
This is the spot where the wires connecting Mr. Carlton's alarm system enter the house.
So what?
So in a minute, Inspector, I want you to get out your jackknife, bare the wires, press them together, and set off the alarm.
You want to hear the bells ring again,
Don't
eh?
get sarcastic, Inspector. Laura, the minute the alarm starts, the guards will come running. I want you and the inspector to pretend that you saw someone running through the shrubbery toward the wall and give chase with them.
Well, I'll do my best.
Fine. And you, Inspector?
Okay. But what is the great Barton Drake going to be doing all this time?
Believe it or not, Inspector, the great Barton Drake is going to be returning Ambrose Carlton's paintings to the spot where we first saw them hanging.
Just a minute, Mr. Carlton. It wasn't our fault Brian Quirk got away.
Whose fault was it, then? You were both outside the house when the alarms went off.
Well, you were outside, too, and so were all your guards.
Laura, there's no point in you staying longer. If you'll come up to my study, I'll give you your check.
All right, you can ride back to town with us.
Oh, thank you, Inspector Danton.
Very decent of you, Danton.
Thanks.
I suppose your Mr. Drake will expect me to pay him the $10,000 I promised, even though my paintings have been stolen.
I'll expect you to pay me the $10,000, Mr. Carlton. But not because your paintings have been stolen.
Where the devil did you come from, Drake? And what do you mean by that remark?
Which remark, Mr. Carlton? About your paintings? They haven't been stolen, you know.
Haven't been stolen? Nonsense. You saw with your own eyes.
Come in here, please. This is the room where the paintings were kept, isn't it?
How the devil did you know?
Your complicated system of rooms and hallways isn't as complicated as they at first seemed, Mr. Carlton. Look over there, please.
Good heavens. The paintings.
Hanging right where they were before. Well, I'll be an oversized crocodile. Bart, how did you do it?
Before I answer that, Inspector, I want to explain how I solved the 2-week-old murder of Leopold, Mr. Carlton's servant.
Solved? Drake, you don't mean that you know...
Yes, I do mean, Mr. Carlton. I'll explain by asking a few questions. First, why didn't Brian Quirk steal the paintings on the day when he gained admission to the grounds and murdered Leopold?
Well, I can answer that.
I prefer that you didn't, Mr. Carlton. I have my own answer.
But look here.
The reason he didn't want the paintings stolen is because he couldn't dispose of them if he did steal them.
But I've already explained...
Not to my satisfaction, you haven't, Mr. Carlton. Second, how did Quirk gain admission to Hurricane Manor? You've made the place impregnable, Mr. Carlton. You were too thorough.
What do you mean? The alarms did...
The alarms had nothing to do with Quirk's visit. Quirk was already inside.
Ridiculous.
Not ridiculous, Mr. Carlton, clever. There's only one man who would benefit by the theft of your paintings. He could do so only if the paintings were insured against burglary. And the only burglar who would attempt to steal them would be a man such as Brian Quirk, who would keep them for their beauty's sake.
I see. And I suppose you know the identity of Brian Quirk?
Yes, I do, Mr. Carlton. You are Brian Quirk.
Oh, Mr. Drake, it's so good to get away from that terrible place. I can hardly believe it.
Yes, I can appreciate your point of view, Laura.
I think it's wonderful the way you figured out that Mr. Carlton was really Brian Quirk.
Thank you, Laura.
And I also think it was wonderful the way you took the gun away from him when he tried to shoot Inspector Danton.
Thank you again, Laura.
There's one thing that bothers me, though.
Oh? What's that?
How did you know the paintings were hidden in the false panels behind the real panels where they were originally hung?
There are several reasons. Carlton, or Brian Quirk, had gone to elaborate plans to have his paintings legitimately stolen. The murder of Leopold and the soundings of the alarms, they were all designed to give an impression that someone was definitely after them.
And Mr. Carlton knew that even he couldn't get the stolen goods out of the house, so he decided to hide them in the house itself.
That's right. You were part of the plan to make everything seem logical. Because of all that had happened, you were certain that someone was actually trying to get into the house and steal the paintings. Isn't that so?
Oh, yes. I'd become so jittery that I kept imagining things. How did you know the paintings were hidden behind the panel?
Well, for one thing, when pictures are removed from the wall on which they've been hanging for some time with light on them, there's always a faint outline of their shapes.
And there were no outlines on the false panel?
That's right. Also, the pictures were hung from brackets in the molding above. And there was no sign of a bracket when the false panel appeared. I was quite sure that Brian Quirk would never stop to remove the bracket.
Oh, Mr. Drake, you're simply wonderful.
Oh, nuts.
Oh, well. You're still there, are you, Inspector? Gotten over your gripe yet?
No.
No? Well, you will, I'm sure, when we reach Miami Beach.
Are we going to stop there?
Of course, Inspector. We've got to have a look at those bathing beauties.
Say, but that's swell.
But, Mr. Drake, I thought that...
Not at all, Laura. Not when I have such charming company as you. Not when there are bathing beauties to observe. It's going to be a pleasure to forget that mystery is my hobby.
It's a crime, Mr. Collins.
Surely is. After all, suppose you were arrested on suspicion of murder, and your husband was out chasing a beautiful redhead with $100,000. And you think you've got troubles, huh? You should be married to Greg Collins, the private detective. Yes, I'm Gail Collins, and I'll be back in a minute to set the stage for our puzzle in crime.
It's a crime, Mr. Collins.
Well, if it isn't Mort Hall.
That's right, Gail. And I'd like to hear all about this beautiful redhead.
You men are all the same.
Sure we are. Now, how about the story?
Well, Greg and I were having our breakfast coffee. We do kind of a switch on the husband and wife routine at breakfast. Greg's hungry. He gobbles up pancakes and sausages and concentrates on his eating. Me, I bury my nose in the morning paper. Greg's business as a private detective keeps him so busy he doesn't have too much time for the news. So me, I'm the poor man's Walter Winchell. I tell Greg what's new.
Well, go ahead, pal. Let's hear it.
Your insurance all paid up, Greg?
Why?
Your days are numbered. They're knocking off private detectives in this town like pins in a bowling alley.
What? What did I get this time?
The paper says your friend Tommy Brown was shot last night in his office.
No, that isn't surprising. Mr. Brown was no friend of mine, Gail. I warned him. He was getting into some very crooked deals.
He was looking for a woman named Nella Stevens, it says.
He probably found her. Only somebody didn't like it, so they shot him.
Who's Nella Stevens?
I pass.
I thought maybe she was somebody in the gossip columns or those silly magazines.
You should know. You read them.
Out of morbid curiosity, that's all. Anyway, you'd better let this be a lesson to you. Take me along on your murder cases. I'll keep you out of trouble.
Yes, you're very helpful.
Your wife isn't a good detective, huh?
Terrible.
She good for anything at all?
I doubt it.
How about this?
Yes, now that you mention it, she does have talent along certain lines.
While Greg and I were at breakfast, a man we'd never heard of, a Mr. Charles, was talking to a gunman who worked for him, a gunman named Johnny. They were in Charles' very expensive and lavishly decorated apartment.
I'll tell you the truth, Mr. Charles. When I got there, this private eye, this Tommy Brown, was dead.
Johnny, doesn't it strike you as odd?
Doesn't what?
I hired Brown to find Nella Stevens. He was going to tell me last night where he'd found her. And then he was murdered. About the time you got there.
You think I saw the killer?
I don't know, my dear Johnny. I'm merely speculating.
I didn't have nothing to do with it.
I'm still looking for Nella Stevens, Johnny.
How am I going to find her, Mr. Charles?
The private detective did. You're as bright as he is.
Yeah, he got 2 bullets in him for finding her.
Yes, Johnny. And somebody might get bullets in him for not finding her.
Me, for instance, Mr. Charles?
You, for instance, my dear Johnny.
I walked Greg over to his office, which is in one of San Francisco's newest skyscrapers. Figured I'd butt in on a case or two. Greg hates it, but me, I worry about him. I also worry about the women that parade into his place. The one we found in his waiting room, for example.
I'm Lillian Burton, Mr. Collins.
Oh, do sit down. This is my wife, Gail.
How do you do, Miss Burton?
No, not here in the anteroom. My private office, Miss Burton.
Thank you.
Wait here, Gail. Gail, come back. I said wait here.
Oh? Did you?
Well, perhaps Miss Burton wants to talk to me confidentially.
That's what I thought.
Read some magazines out here, chum. Newspapers, whatever you like.
Okay. Say, here's something. Pershing says he has the Kaiser on the run. Where do you get these magazines? From your dentist?
What's on your mind, Miss Burton?
I want you to find my sister-in-law.
Why?
So my brother can sue her for divorce.
Well, sorry, I don't get mixed up in divorces.
But she may have been murdered.
What makes you think so?
She's been missing for 6 months.
That doesn't mean she was killed. Unless you have special knowledge.
Now, don't start accusing me. I don't like innuendos like that.
I'm just trying to get the story straight. What's your sister-in-law's name?
Nella Stevens.
Oh, her again.
Nella Stevens is her maiden name. She's originally from Los Angeles. Why did you say her again?
Her name was in the morning paper.
Yes, very unfortunate. That private detective.
The fact that he was killed looking for her is hardly tempting for me.
Oh, hear me out first.
The divorce her fault?
No, nothing bitter about it. My brother Gerald is young and, well, he's fallen in love with someone else.
Well, could Nella have disappeared so your brother can't find her and serve her with the papers? Is she blocking the divorce that way?
Well, absolutely not. That's why I know something must have happened to her.
Anybody else mixed up in her life? Another man, maybe?
Not that I know of.
She, psychologically sound. No possibility of amnesia.
Out of the question.
Do you have any idea why the first detective hired on the case was murdered?
None. You frightened. That's why you won't look for Nella.
Well, I don't scare that easily, Miss Burton. But I do like to know who's holding what cards.
You've got to take the case. I need your help terribly. Isn't there anything that will persuade you?
What does Nella look like?
She's 5'3", weighs 115 pounds, has beautiful red hair and lovely blue eyes. They say she looks like me.
Lovely eyes and beautiful hair, looks like you. Yeah, you're the modest type, I see.
No, just telling you facts. That's what you wanted, isn't it?
Speaking of facts, let's face a very interesting one. The fee.
I hope it won't be exorbitant.
Stuntmen get a lot of money, Miss Burton, because their assignments might be fatal. You're asking me to walk the same road as a colleague of mine just walked, and he's in the morgue.
All right. Name the figure.
5,000. Find her enough.
Well, would that settle it? Then you'd accept?
Probably.
I'll dig the money up somehow, some way. It's a deal. 5,000. Of course, if it could be less, even a little less.
You're asking me to find a woman nobody's been able to locate in 6 months. She's very attractive. In spite of what you say, she's unquestionably involved with men. Some of them are obviously hoods. They just knocked off the guy who finally did find her. And you've no really valuable clues. Well, there'll be nothing less, Miss Burton.
All right, I'll pay.
Then you're on.
Will you start immediately?
Immediately.
You're a darling. I could just kiss you. Was I interrupting something? I hope?
No, just she got excited, Gail, because I consented to take the case. Have you a pencil? I want to take down Miss Burton's number.
I think you've already got her number.
I came here to hire services, Mrs. Collins, not to indulge in second-rate wisecracks.
You also did not come here to kiss my husband. Or did you?
Here, I'll write my number on this pad. There.
I'll call you the moment I learn anything, Lillian.
Learn anything? Brother, if I hadn't come in, you'd have graduated with honors in about 5 minutes.
I was talking about the case.
Well, I wasn't. Isn't that odd?
I'm very grateful, Mr. Collins. Goodbye, Mrs. Collins.
Goodbye, Miss Burton.
Sweet girl.
Husband snatcher.
Gail, you don't know what this involves.
I certainly do. I listened on the intercom.
1 million people in San Francisco, and I have to find one redhead. It's like looking for a cheap apartment.
I have a feeling I can clean up this case with one call. Excuse me.
I have a feeling you flipped.
Just listen.
Hello?
Oh, may I speak to Nella Stevens?
This is Nella Stevens.
This is the office of Greg Collins. Are you from Los Angeles?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Don't you... Hello? Hello?
Well, my fine, high-class private detective with the big problems. What have you got to say now?
Well, it couldn't be the same, Nella Stevens. Lillian's been looking for her for almost 6 months.
Maybe she wasn't trying very hard. She's living at the Beverly Arms Apartments.
Huh? How'd you know?
Elementary, my dear Collins. I looked it up in the phone book. So that was that. We'd located Nella Stevens' first pup. But keep your ears pinned, friends. We'll be back in a minute with more of our story. Well, the obvious thing to do next was to go to Nella Stevens' apartment. So we did the obvious thing. Well, Greg, what does the nameplate say?
Oh, it says Nella Stevens, all right, but it can't be the same one.
Well, what's the matter?
It's not locked.
Nobody home.
Oh, well, let's try the bedroom.
Greg?
Yeah? Somebody hit this joint like a hurricane.
What could they have been looking for?
Same thing we are. Nella Stevens.
They couldn't have expected to find her in any of these drawers. If you ask me, this was a conventional robbery.
You talked to her 15 minutes ago.
So what?
Well, if this were a conventional robbery, then the burglar might still be... What happened to those lights?
I don't know.
Turn them on.
They don't work.
Well, the fuse must have gone. Don't move.
That's good advice. Why don't you take it, too?
Here, get that flashlight out of my eyes.
Wow. Greg Collins, the detective, right?
Have we met?
Not formal, no. I saw you in a courtroom once. You did real good. But you won't this time. Not with this dame.
Which dame?
Nella Stevens, the dame with you.
I am not a dame. I am Mrs. Greg Collins.
That must be fun.
I could have more fun, pal, pushing your wise guy face.
Never mind that. It'll get us all in a jam.
I didn't hear your name.
Call me Johnny.
Well, Johnny, we're looking for Nella Stevens, too.
My boss would like to know that.
Well, who's your boss?
Mr. Charles. He's a very nice guy. You ought to meet him. In fact, you ought to meet him right now.
Well, maybe I don't want to.
Maybe you don't see this 38.
We'll meet him. I love cordial invitations like that.
All right, folks. Step inside.
Hey, quit shoving, Johnny.
Hello, Mr. Charles.
And precisely what is this uproar about?
It's just what the doctor ordered. Meet Nella Stevens, Mr. Charles.
Nella Stevens?
You don't recognize her?
Dear Johnny, I told you Nella was a redhead. This lovely girl is not.
Hear that, Greg? This lovely girl?
I found both of them in Nella Stevens' apartment.
Well, I'm extremely sorry. I didn't quite catch your name.
The name is Collins, Greg Collins.
A renowned detective. I'm impressed. What were you doing in Nella's apartment?
Looking?
For what?
I heard there was a vacancy.
I wonder if we have time for these little ventures into irrelevant humor.
Okay, so we'll leave.
What is your interest in Nella Stevens?
A client of mine wants to locate her.
Perhaps we can join forces. I'm looking for her, too.
Thanks? No.
You're uncooperative, aren't you, Mr. Collins?
Yeah, crack at him, boss. He'll cooperate.
Would you like Johnny to go to work on you?
Sure. If you'll put down that gun.
Yeah, I'll take the gun, thank you, Johnny. Well, where's Nella, Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins, I'm not doing this for amusement. Nella Stevens worked for me until she disappeared with $100,000 of mine. I want it back.
Want me to answer?
No, never mind. Hello? Yeah? Yeah? You have? Oh, splendid. Accept my apologies, Mr. Collins.
What for?
An error. It's been rectified. One of my employees phoned in. Imagine. He just found Nella Stevens.
Got the key to the office?
Here.
I'll turn on the lights.
Greg, look, near her desk. There's a woman lying on the floor.
Stay where you are, Gail. I'll look.
If she's asleep, don't disturb her.
I couldn't possibly disturb her. She's dead.
Oh, no.
We finally found Nella Stevens.
Why was she killed here?
Remember when you spoke to her on the phone? He said this is Greg Collins' office. Well, she must have come down here to find out what was going on, and Charles's hoods were waiting for him.
You're a bad guesser, Collins. I'd like to be your bookmaker.
This is the second time you've snuck up on me, Johnny. I'm getting annoyed, you know. Now get that gun out of my face.
I've been tailing you ever since you left Charles' place. That phone call was a phony. Charles figured when you heard we found Nella Stevens, you'd go where she was hiding out to check.
Well, he's a bad guesser, too.
Why'd you knock her off?
Don't be an idiot. I just got her, you know that.
Yeah, but how long does it take to knock a broad off and roll her for a dope?
Give me the phone.
What are you calling?
The cops.
Forget it. It's a crummy idea.
You got a better one?
Yeah, I got a better one.
Take it easy, Greg.
Where's Johnny?
Gone. Coming back with Charles.
I'd like to get Johnny sometime when he's not armed.
Oh, don't try to get up. I already called the police.
I didn't want to take a chance disarming him on account of you. A wild shot, you know. Now, look, why don't you go to the movies,
I'd rather be with you.
Oh, don't you have any shopping to do?
I'd rather be with you.
You're messing up the case, Gail.
You're wrecking our marriage, Greg.
Okay, but I'm not responsible. All right. Come along with me.
The phony? Greg, I mean. He sneaked to a phone booth on a pretense, contacted his pals over at police headquarters, and had them pick me up. They took me to headquarters. But I vowed then and there to fix Greg's wagon if it was the last thing I did. And I don't mean his station wagon. While I was filming and fussing in custody, Johnny was calling his boss.
That you, Mr. Charles?
Yes, Johnny.
Wait till you hear this. The screwiest thing. Who do you think killed Nella Stevens?
She's dead.
The cops just picked up Greg Collins' wife.
Oh, that is odd.
You'd better kiss your $100,000 goodbye. Go on with the wind, pal.
Yeah, perhaps you're right. You come by and see me, Johnny.
What for?
I'll pay you off.
You didn't have to drive me to the airport, Mr. Charles.
I'm delighted to do it, Johnny. It's the least I could do under circumstances.
Hey, wait, you made a mistake.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you should have taken that left turn.
How stupid of me.
why are we stopping here?
Something just occurred to me.
Did it?
Yeah. Johnny, who stands to gain the most from Ella Stevens' death?
Greg Collins?
Why do you say that?
He could knock her off and grab the money?
Incredible. Collins is a world-famous detective. He's turned down more money than that. Extremely ethical.
Maybe his wife swung it, huh?
Don't be absurd.
So what does that leave?
You, my dear Johnny.
Me? What are you getting at?
Suppose you committed the murder. You wouldn't have to split the take with anyone.
Oh, come on.
You have money with you, Johnny, or should we drive somewhere and pick it up?
Put away that gun.
Let go! No, you can't! The price is stupidity, my dear Johnny. To live by violence is to die that way.
So that was the second murder in this case. But don't go away. In just a minute, we'll bring you the climax of the case. Of course, all this time, I was in the hoosegow. But my dear, treacherous husband was paying a nice, cozy little visit to Lillian Burton's apartment.
Well, I'll be darned. Greg Collins.
Hello, Lillian. Can I come in?
Can you? Step right in. Tell me why all the attractive men are married.
Skip it. We've business.
Where's your wife?
Didn't you hear me?
Tell me where she is.
At police headquarters. I couldn't afford to let her go wandering around town on this case. Too many trigger-happy people about.
Trigger-happy? Who?
Your sister-in-law worked for a man named Henry Charles.
Have you found her?
Yeah.
Where is she?
My office.
Oh, I'll get my coat. I'll be with you in a minute.
Now, wait a second. I have bad news for you.
She's ashamed to see me. Is that it? Oh, that's all right.
It isn't that.
What are you trying to tell me?
She's dead.
She's... Oh, no, that's awful.
She wasn't a young innocent, Lillian. She was mixed up with a rough crowd, stole $100,000.
Do you realize what you're saying?
Sure.
But that doesn't make sense. Lola was a simple, sweet girl. She didn't need Charles's money.
I can't convince him of that.
You're wrong. There's a mix-up.
There is a mix-up.
What do you mean?
You said she had beautiful red hair and blue eyes.
Well?
Her hair wasn't naturally red like yours. It was dark at the roots. First thing that struck me when I saw the body. And she was 2 inches shorter than you.
What difference does that make?
I know you haven't seen her in months, and girls dye their hair, but do they shrink?
You've lost me. I can't seem to think straight. The shock, I guess. Knowing Nella's dead.
Nella Stevens isn't dead.
But you just
said...
said...
The girl in my office is dead, all right. Not Nella. You're Nella Stevens.
Oh, no, really, for trying to be clever.
Not very clever. How'd you know she took Charles's money? I didn't say it was his, but you did.
I just presumed since you mentioned his name that...
It was too easy when Gail found your name in the phone book. I should have had the answer then. What surprises me is that Charles never thought of looking there.
Sure he did, but it wasn't there when he looked. I waited until today when the new phone listings were published before I walked into your office.
Very thoughtful. Who's the dead girl in my office?
My double. She did it well, too.
Well, now, for all through...
We're not through.
Got a license for that gun, Lillian?
No, but it won't bother me. The police will think Charles killed you when they find your body.
Want to make a deal?
Talk.
I'll get you a great lawyer. You could plead insanity.
On what ground?
Trying to get away with this. You'd have to be nuts to try it. Now put away the gun. These things go off sometimes. Killed anybody else besides your double? Tommy Brown, maybe?
Tommy Brown. He got wise, stumbled on the truth, and wouldn't listen to me. Acted like a Boy Scout, the way you're acting. Ended up dead, the way you will.
Maybe not.
You want part of the $100,000, huh?
Maybe.
How much?
Half.
For what?
Keeping my mouth shut. The heat to get to whoever kills me will be terrific. That's playing it your way. Now think of mine. I say nothing. Pin a rap on Charles. Get him out of the way. We're both clear. They'll never find out who got Brown.
You talk too fast. I gotta think.
Think of being in the clear. Think maybe...
Don't get so close to me.
I don't want the gun.
You're not made of ice water after all, huh?
Who could be? Ever look in the mirror?
I thought you came here on business.
I did. And we'll clean it up right now.
Oh, my arm! Let me go! Greg, are you all right?
Yes, Gail. Get up, Lillian. Police downstairs, Gail?
Yes, Prowl Carl. I talked him into coming here. I had a notion you'd be making yourself a target.
You dirty low
Out
down.
the door, Lillian. Let's go see the boys.
You didn't want a deal. Never did. I bet for an old stall.
So what? We all do. Gail, I told you you'd come within inches of a bullet. That shot you fired, lucky it went wild.
Not as wild as I am, chum. Locking me up in the hoosegow, chasing redheads, kissing this woman.
A line of duty, pal.
Oh.
Hey, what's the idea of kicking a guy in the pants if he just captured a killer?
I'm your wife, right? Line of duty, pal. Line of duty. Nella killed the girl in your office, Greg, right? But how did that help her?
Well, once I told the police Nella Stevens was dead, Charles accepted it and would give up looking for her. He suspected Johnny of double-crossing him.
You're guessing.
I am not. I just picked up Charles and he confessed.
Where's Johnny?
Coroner's got him. Shot dead by Charles.
So the reason Lillian came to you was to have you establish that Nella Stevens was dead.
Well, certainly. Left her free to take a powder with Charles.
Fine. So now you collect from your client and the case is closed.
My client was Nella Stevens, alias Lillian. I just nailed up a homicide. She won't pay me a dime.
That's what I like. A husband who's a good businessman. Makes money, protects himself, takes care of his wife and home. Total profit on this venture. $0, 0 cents. One more wonderful case like this and we'll be bankrupt.
You mean you love me for my money alone?
There's something else?
Come here.
Greg.
Yes, darling.
I don't care if you haven't a cent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're a terrible businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing matters. Except one thing.
What is it, darling?
Get a deposit on the next case. Cash. Don't go away. In just a moment, we'll be back with you.
Well, folks, Ged and I hope you enjoyed our adventure, the murder of the fabulous redhead. Be sure to visit us next time for another Puzzle in Murder, where there is crime and romance. There you'll find Mr.
And Mrs. Collins.
Mystery House. Mystery House, that strange publishing firm owned by Dan and Barbara Glenn, where each new novel is acted out by the Mystery House staff before it is accepted for publication. Mystery House.